Once upon a time, in a distant era shrouded in the mists of history, there resided a legendary blacksmith in a quaint village. This remarkable artisan was the proud proprietor of a modest store where he displayed and sold his exquisite hand-forged ironware. One fateful day, destiny conspired to smile upon him as he clinched a momentous contract, a contract that would change the course of his life. In the midst of an unrelenting war that cast its shadow over the land, the blacksmith was presented with an extraordinary opportunity. He was bestowed the honor of crafting weapons for the kingdom of Cairo, a task that would not only bolster his reputation but also elevate his social standing. The intricately wrought blades and armor he meticulously created found their way to the hands of warriors, further fueling the flames of the relentless conflict. Following the cessation of hostilities, the blacksmith's dedication and contributions to the war effort did not go unnoticed. In recognition of his invaluable service to the kingdom, he was graced with a peerage, ascending to the position of a baron. This newfound nobility also came with the bestowing of land, a sprawling estate that would become a legacy for generations to come. Among those who would inherit his name was his son, a young man named Roman. The scene transitions to a more recent period in time, where we find Roman engaged in an unexpected pursuit, listening intently to the tales of an elderly. This deviation from Roman's usual comportment astonishes his loyal butler, a man who has long been acquainted with the young nobleman's disinterest in the world's affairs. Yet the narrative shifts once more to a crucial moment in Roman's life. Roman, in a moment of epiphany, discovers his true identity as the eldest son of the illustrious Dimitry family. Furthermore, he comes to terms with the fact that he resides in the kingdom of Cairo, located within the enigmatic Salamander continent. This revelation is accompanied by the unsettling realization that a realm known as Murin, a world Roman was familiar with, no longer exists. To his butler's amazement, Roman acknowledges these newfound truths, eliciting a suspicion that perhaps the young nobleman has turned to illicit substances, a popular vice among the privileged youth. As the revelation unfolds, the butler informs Roman about a significant event scheduled for the day, the arrival of his betrothed, a lady from the esteemed Lawrence family. In contrast to Roman's more accomplished siblings, he has spent the last quarter-century sequestered within the confines of his room, earning him the unenviable moniker of the moron of Dimitry. However, Roman's priorities seem to diverge from the social expectations associated with his noble lineage. To Roman, understanding the intricacies of navigating the current world takes precedence over formalities. This declaration leaves his butler bewildered, prompting him to question why Roman, who has lived within these environs for the entirety of his life, would entertain such notions. Undeterred by the enigma surrounding Roman's sudden change of heart, the butler remains steadfast in his duty to serve the young nobleman. Then we come to the present, where Roman is talking with the old man, and the old man have told Roman everything he knows. Roman thanks the old man and tells him that it was huge help, and he will reward him later for this. Old man tells Roman it's nothing, as it was an honor for him to even talk to Roman. Roman's introspective journey began as he grappled with his identity, questioning the very essence of his existence. Originally known as Baek Joong-Hyuk, a resident of Murin, he had led a tumultuous life filled with challenges. After fulfilling every life's mandate, he had embraced his inevitable demise. However, his existence took a sudden and bewildering twist, thrusting him into the unfamiliar persona of Roman Dimitry. Roman, now lost in the labyrinth of his thoughts, pondered whether this transformation was orchestrated by the divine, or if it was a form of divine punishment for rejecting ascension. Amid this existential contemplation, the tranquility of the moment was shattered by distant shouts that emanated from outside the walls of Roman's residence. Rushing to investigate, he discovered a scene that sent a chill down his spine. A red-haired man, a humble fruit vendor, was being mercilessly assaulted by 3 aggressors as a horrified crowd watched helplessly. The savagery of the attack was appalling, with the perpetrators showing no mercy. As panic rippled through the bystanders, in this dire moment, Roman's loyal butler, ever vigilant, stepped forward to assess the situation. His eyes widened in disbelief as he noticed a distinctive fang-shaped tattoo on the assailant's arm. Roman couldn't stand by idly. He stepped forward and inquired about the unfolding chaos. The butler informed Roman that these attackers were known as the Bloodfangs, a notorious usury group whose nefarious operations extended beyond the confines of the Dimitry territory. It appeared that the red-haired vendor had fallen victim to their ruthless extortion practices. As Roman's curiosity grew, he suddenly vanished from the butler's side, heading towards the assailants with an air of determination. He implored them to cease their brutality. The Bloodfangs, however, dismissed Roman's plea with contempt, asserting that nobility held no sway over their actions. The butler, concerned for his master's safety, admonished Roman not to meddle with these dangerous individuals. Roman, unwilling to let injustice prevail, turned to his butler, Hans, seeking a comprehensive explanation of the land's legal system and the consequences for those who transgressed it. Hans was taken aback by the request, as it was unconventional for someone of Roman status to engage in such matters. The revelation that the red-haired vendor had incurred a debt and was subjected to the Bloodfang's illicit enforcement left Roman with a sense of urgency. Moreover, Roman's status as the eldest son of the Dimitry family added a layer of complexity to the situation. Disrespect towards him constituted a grave offense, one that could potentially warrant capital punishment in accordance with the region's legal framework. The Bloodfangs, upon hearing this, exchanged uneasy glances as Roman declared their violation of the law. Roman's eyes flashed with determination as he grabbed a wooden stick, vowing to administer justice. The Bloodfangs, unimpressed and unyielding, prepared to confront Roman. They scoffed at his threats and reminded him of the tattoos that adorned their arms. Roman, unruffled, clarified that their ink symbols only served to brand them as lowlifes. The altercation escalated as Roman charged at the assailants, ready to take them to task. Roman's swift movements caught the Bloodfangs off guard. He deftly evaded their blows and with astonishing precision incapacitated the attackers with his makeshift weapon. Other Bloodfangs members attack Roman together, and one of them uses a dagger and tries to cut Roman, but Roman easily dodges one attack and takes the guy down easily. Hans, witnessing this unexpected display of prowess, was left astounded that Roman was indeed his master. In the midst of this chaos, Roman's thoughts drifted back to the moment he awoke in this unfamiliar body. Among the artifacts, a will penned by the old Roman and a scattered array of drugs on the floor formed the mosaic of his recent history. The document speaks of the kingdom of Kiro, frequently embroiled in war, and the practice of selecting representatives from each household to serve the kingdom. Roman Dimitry had been chosen as his family's representative to join the army, a responsibility he found too daunting to bear. In fear, he took his own life. The new Roman regards this previous life as a lamentable existence. Nevertheless, he has inherited the legacy of Baek Joong-Hyuk, the leader of the Heavenly Demon sect, and vows to live according to this new persona's principles. The narrative concludes with a scene of Roman, having dispensed justice to the assailants, standing alone amid the aftermath, his garments stained with their blood. As one of the Bloodfangs attempts to flee, Roman swiftly apprehends and dispatches him, casting a challenge to any who might oppose his judgment. The onlookers are left in stunned silence, their perceptions of the young nobleman forever altered by his unexpected display of valor. Baek Joong-Hyuk, once a name that reverberated throughout the world of Murim, had ascended to the pinnacle of power with unmatched martial prowess. Countless martial artists had dared to challenge him, only to meet a grim fate, massacred and obliterated without mercy. It was a time when the entire world acknowledged the dominance of the Heavenly Demon sect, a martial organization under Baek Joong-Hyuk's control, which held sway over the entire Murim realm. However, circumstances had taken an unexpected turn. Baek Joong-Hyuk, who had once wielded overwhelming power, now found himself confined within a fragile and feeble physical vessel. In his current state, he struggled even to subdue a mere group of street-level ruffians. This stark contrast between his former might and present frailty weighed heavily on his shoulders. Frustration etched on his face, Roman, the name by which he now went, summoned his loyal butler and instructed him to alert the guards. Roman demanded an investigation into the recent skirmish, emphasizing the urgency of the matter. The butler, visibly shaken, nodded in compliance and hastened to carry out his master's orders. While the wheels of justice were set in motion, Roman pondered the limitations of his current body. He lamented its lack of vitality and the erratic flow of ki, a vital energy in the world of Murim. With determination etched in his gaze, he resolved to expedite his quest for knowledge and, more crucially, the elusive process of skeletal modification, a pathway to greater power. As Roman contemplated his future, a red-haired man approached him, gratitude shining in his eyes. He expressed his heartfelt thanks to Roman for saving his life, to which Roman responded with uncharacteristic candor. He clarified that his intervention was not driven by benevolence, but rather a strict adherence to the rule of law. The Bloodfangs, the group Roman had confronted, had transgressed the boundaries of legality, and he had meted out punishment accordingly. Roman further informed the red-haired man that he was not exempt from scrutiny, urging him to provide a truthful account of the events that had transpired. The red-haired man, whose name was Kevin, agreed to share his story. He revealed that his parents had borrowed money from the Bloodfangs to acquire land for farming, with the intention of repaying the debt through the sale of their crops. However, the Bloodfangs had resorted to a malicious act of destroying their entire harvest, rendering it impossible for the family to meet their financial obligations. Kevin had since learned that this vile act was motivated by the syndicate's sinister intent to prey upon his younger sister. He emphasized the injustice of their situation, as his family had always lived modestly and refrained from causing harm to others. Kevin implored Roman to help rescue his sister from the clutches of the Bloodfangs. In that moment, as Roman gazed into Kevin's eyes, he sensed the presence of a latent demon, a memory from his past. The recollection stirred within him, and he asked for Kevin's name, curious to know more about the man before him. Kevin, his voice tinged with gratitude and vulnerability, introduced himself, initiating a connection that would likely have far-reaching consequences. Roman assured Kevin that he would verify the veracity of his account and ensure that justice prevailed. Grateful for Roman's intervention, Kevin expressed his heartfelt thanks. As Roman left the scene, he couldn't help but feel that this chance encounter with Kevin might lead to a long and meaningful relationship. The narrative transitions to a different setting, where a luxurious carriage advances along a well-trodden path. Inside the carriage, Lady Flora, the passenger, contemplates her recent turn of fate. Just a month ago, she had received the shocking news of an arranged marriage with the Dimitry family. Her father, bearing a grave countenance, had delivered the decree, explaining that their family's land faced imminent disaster, and this union was the sole avenue to navigate the impending crisis. Flora, initially taken aback by the suddenness of the arrangement, voiced her concerns about becoming a member of the Dimitry family. She expressed her dismay, citing the Dimitrys' mining background as a stark contrast to her own upbringing. Her father, weighed down by the circumstances, offered his apologies, acknowledging the arduous decision he had been compelled to make. Now, in the present moment, Lady Flora has arrived at the Dimitry territory, expecting to wed the second son of the family, who had shown promise and a bright future. However, her expectations crumble as she learns of an unforeseen twist. The eldest son of the Dimitry family, Roman Dimitry, asserts his claim to her hand in marriage. Roman, commonly known as the moron of the Dimitry family, is notorious for living a life of indulgence and luxury. As Flora walks alongside him, she resolves to confront him about the situation, determined to voice her refusal. Turning to face him, she implores Roman to reconsider the marriage. In response, Roman surprises her by stating that he has no qualms about canceling the engagement, an unexpected acquiescence. Stunned by this turn of events, Flora inquires about Roman's reasons. In a nonchalant manner, Roman confirms his readiness to annul the engagement. He clarifies that, as the purported moron of the Dimitry family, he possesses neither the ambition nor the desire to enter into a marriage with her. His disinterest leaves Flora bewildered, unable to comprehend the true motives behind Roman's actions. Prompted by Flora's persistence, Roman decides to inform his father of their mutual decision. Flora is shocked, and she tells him to stop. Roman asks her, "Is there any problem?" Flora tells Roman that she heard that this marriage happened because he really wanted to marry her. And now he is willing to cancel their marriage without any conditions, so she is a bit confused. Roman asks her does she wants to marry him then. She tells him no, not really. Roman tells her then let's not cause each other any more problem. So now we both agreed to cancel the marriage and that's all there is to it. And Roman tells her that he will take full responsibility for breaking the engagement. Flora is surprised hearing this. Roman tells her that he has already called the moron of the Dimitrys, so it's not a big problem to also be called a divorced man. Flora is shocked to hear this and doesn't get what Roman deal is, and she wonders if he is really that rumored moron Dimitri's elder son. As he enters his father's office and delivers the news of the broken engagement, his father's reaction is far from what Roman had anticipated. Faced with a surge of anger, Roman's father chastises him for jeopardizing an arrangement that held the potential to elevate the Dimitry family's standing as nobility. His father underscores the importance of the marriage and expresses his disappointment in Roman's inability to fulfill even this simple duty as the eldest son. Roman, unflinchingly resolute, tenders his apologies, but his father's fury shows no signs of abating. In a fit of rage, he hurls a cup in Roman's direction, the vessel narrowly missing its target, but drawing blood on his forehead. His father's reprimands continue, stressing that this marriage was intended to secure a better future for their family. In an act of genuine contrition, Roman beseeches his father for forgiveness, acknowledging the gravity of his actions. However, his father's response is unwavering. He reminds Roman that the engagement had offered an opportunity for Roman to marry a noblewoman of his choosing and thus fulfill his familial obligations. Instead, Roman's defiance has jeopardized his own future. Moreover, his father reveals knowledge of Roman's recent altercation with the Bloodfangs, an encounter that had reportedly ended in Roman's favor. Yet Roman's father dismisses the veracity of these claims, suspecting that someone else had intervened on his behalf. He underscores the magnitude of the problem, emphasizing that the Bloodfangs are a formidable group that even he, as the patriarch of the Dimitry family, cannot easily contend with. In a final admonition, Roman's father informs him that he will be conscripted for military service in 6 months. He turns to Roman, inquiring whether he has any response to these circumstances. Roman, unwavering and resolute, quietly conveys his acceptance of the impending conscription, offering no objections. With Roman's departure from his father's office, Flora rushes to confront him, anxious about the consequences of his actions. She admonishes him for provoking the Bloodfangs, a group notorious for their audacity in terrorizing even nobles. She urges Roman to confess the truth to his father and seek clemency from the Baron, fearing the retaliatory wrath of the syndicate. Roman, however, counters her pleas with a question. Why should he heed her advice? This unexpected response leaves Flora stunned and bewildered, as she grapples with the enigmatic character of the man before her. In the hours preceding the critical encounter between Roman and Lady Flora, the Dimitry estate buzzed with preparations. Roman found himself in the midst of a wardrobe adjustment, as his devoted butler, Hans, applied an excessive amount of perfume. Roman's discomfort was palpable as he lamented the tightness of his attire. However, Hans's insistence on perfection remained unwavering, as he emphasized the significance of this meeting with his fiancée, Lady Flora Lawrence. Roman's mind raced with thoughts of the ever-increasing complexity of his life in this world. This arranged marriage, an unexpected intrusion, appeared to be nothing more than an additional burden. Nevertheless, he recognized the imprudence of showing disrespect to a woman who had yet to bring any trouble into his life. Hans's gentle but unwavering insistence eventually led Roman to comply. Roman conceded that there was no reason to be disrespectful toward a woman who had not caused him any harm. After all, his primary goal was to terminate this engagement while causing minimal offense. This had been his initial plan. As the narrative transitions to the present, Roman finds himself engaged in confrontation with Lady Flora, a confrontation that reveals her perceived arrogance. Shocked by Roman's directness, Lady Flora listens as he explains his perspective. He conveys his understanding of her position, acknowledging that she might not have considered the full extent of his circumstances when he initially suggested breaking off the engagement. However, he highlights that she has no right to interfere with the decision he has now taken. Both of them are to part ways, tending to their own affairs. Flora is left speechless by the abruptness of this separation. Roman, on the other hand, reflects on his earlier declaration to take full responsibility for ending the engagement. He intended this assurance to preempt any subsequent discussions or complications related to the dissolution of their arrangement. Yet he also held a desire to distance himself from her. Roman believed that this would mark their final encounter, as he departed, leaving her to contemplate the turn of events. In a different setting, the narrative shifts to the palace. Roman Dimitry, the lord of the household, indulges in excess alcohol, an attempt to drown his worries. His wife observes his inebriation with concern and implores him to halt. In his inebriated state, Romero confides in his wife, recounting the physical discipline he had inflicted upon Roman during their earlier years as commoners. Romero divulges that, after becoming nobles, he had vowed to shield his children from the hardships they had endured. His wife acknowledges that this promise had successfully shaped their children's lives, including Roman. Yet he remains uncertain about how to treat Roman, the only child who had experienced those early struggles with him. His wife reassures him not to bear the weight of self-blame too heavily. While recognizing his imperfections as a parent, she emphasizes that they alone have the power to guide their children away from any misguided paths. She reminds him of the Roman Dimitry she knows, a father who would not allow his own son to stray into undesirable territory. The conversation then turns to the issue of the Bloodfangs, an organization Roman had recently confronted. Given Roman's prideful nature and his impulsive declaration that he would handle the Bloodfangs single-handedly, his mother voices concern about the consequences of leaving him without support. She suggests that they involve Captain Jonathan, a skilled figure who might be able to aid Roman in addressing the issue. Convinced by his wife's wisdom, Romero promptly instructs a servant to summon Captain Jonathan. Considering Roman's well-being as a priority and the uncertainty surrounding his recent actions against the Bloodfangs, The narrative then returns to the present, with Roman strolling through the town. Hans, his loyal butler, expresses concern for Roman's safety, advising him against venturing outside. The looming threat of a potential blood-fang retaliation prompts Hans to urge Roman's return to the safety of the palace. Roman questions Hans about when the bloodfangs had accumulated their newfound strength, to which Hans can only offer uncertainty. Roman contemplates the peculiar dynamics of the bloodfangs, an organization that gained notoriety by brutally eliminating their adversaries, particularly those engaged in reprehensible deeds. Their reputation had bred fear, which in turn enhanced their operational efficiency. Roman acknowledges the enduring danger posed by the bloodfangs, but emphasizes that as long as they inspire fear, they remain manageable. Undeterred, Roman and Hans enter a restaurant, where they place an order for a substantial meal. Hans is visibly delighted at the prospect of indulging in the delectable spread. After making himself comfortable, Roman informs Hans that he can remain and enjoy the meal, as he intends to continue his investigation alone. This revelation momentarily surprises Hans, who had expected to accompany Roman. In a twist of events, Hans stops Roman, expressing his unwillingness to let his young master go into potential danger unaccompanied. This unexpected display of loyalty and resolve takes Roman by surprise, and he commends Hans for his unwavering dedication. Roman offers his parting words, and as he leaves the restaurant, Hans remains behind, having already made the decision to contact the soldiers and inform them of the situation. Roman, meanwhile, strolls through the streets with a deliberate intent to draw the bloodfangs toward him. Roman's calculated strategy aims to lead the bloodfangs to him. He knows that they have likely discerned his presence and location. Additionally, the day corresponds with the regular training of the Dimitry Knights, resulting in decreased street security. This presents an opportune moment for the bloodfangs to exact their revenge. As Roman ventures through the town, deliberately leaving a trail to be followed, he finds himself suddenly ambushed by an assailant armed with a dagger. The attacker charges at him with full force, attempting to catch Roman off guard. Then the scene shifts to soldiers where their captain Jonathan meet with Roman's butler, and he told him that they have to go and find Roman immediately, as he has gone alone to fight with the bloodfang. Then the scene shifts back to Roman, where his reflexes and combat skills come to the fore, allowing him to effortlessly block the assault and disarm his opponent. He quickly incapacitates the would-be assailant. The attacker's companions, shocked by Roman's prowess and their shattered preconceptions of him, stand in bewildered disbelief. Roman, exuding an air of confidence and authority, encourages them to engage further. The stage is set for a confrontation that will reveal Roman's true capabilities to his adversaries. In the dimly lit grounds of the grand estate, Hans, the butler, approached Captain Jonathan with an urgency that mirrored the gravity of the news he bore. Young Master Roman, the seemingly frail scion of the house, had ventured into the city alone, forsaking any protective entourage, on a daring mission to confront the notorious Bloodfang group. Captain Jonathan, a seasoned leader with a penchant for strategic wit, and his loyal soldier regarded this revelation with a mixture of amusement and incredulity. Young Roman, known as the weakest of the house, willingly embroiling himself with the notorious Bloodfang. Laughter erupted from both captain and soldier, echoing within the hallowed halls as they questioned the butler's credibility. Undeterred by the skepticism, Hans stood his ground, insisting vehemently that Roman spoke the truth. Why would the young master lie about such a perilous endeavor? This assertion hung in the air like an unanswered riddle, prompting the captain to delve deeper into the enigma that now unfolded before him. Captain Jonathan's contemplative gaze drifted into the shadows of suspicion. He speculated that Roman's father, the patriarch of the house, might have delivered a forewarning about his son's perilous confrontation with the Bloodfang. A silent plea for assistance, a clandestine call to arms. Imagining the paternal concern that might have spurred this decision, Jonathan resolved to aid Roman and solve the enigma that now enveloped the young master. Despite his musings, the captain couldn't fathom why Roman, lacking the skills of a seasoned warrior, would willingly thrust himself into such a dangerous mission. A sense of urgency gripped Jonathan, prompting him to issue swift commands to his soldiers. The clatter of weapons being readied filled the air as he instructed Hans to guide them to the location of young Master Roman. Assurances flowed from Jonathan's lips like a shield, promising Hans that as long as they were present, the Bloodfang wouldn't dare lay a finger on Roman. Yet beneath the veneer of confidence, Jonathan harbored a nagging thought. If Hans's information held any truth, the need to locate Roman quickly became paramount. The narrative pendulum swung back to Roman, now immersed in a face-off with two vengeful bandits seeking retribution for their fallen comrade. Swift as a shadow, Roman dodged the attacks of the first assailant, bringing him down with a calculated grace. The second bandit, fueled by rage, lunged forward only to meet the force of Roman's counterattack, a powerful kick to the stomach that left him crumpled on the floor. Amidst the chaos, Michael, Roman's steadfast companion, emerged on the scene. The defeated bandit pleaded for mercy, urging Roman not to deliver the final blow. Unyielding, Roman reminded the bandit of the lives he had already extinguished and brandished a knife, threatening to inflict further pain unless the bandit divulged information. In a voice laced with determination, Roman sought the identity of the Bloodfang's leader. The narrative threads then wove into the fabric of a bustling restaurant, where Roman, as enigmatic as ever, approached the counter. The man behind the counter recognized him, curiosity etched across his features. Roman, in his cryptic manner, uttered the words, "Tear of the Dawn" from the 20s. The bald guy, a patron in the establishment, interjected, revealing the absence of such a drink in their repertoire. Unfazed, Roman accepted an alternative, requesting a strong drink with the explanation that he had early morning plans, a statement that stirred interest among the bar's patrons. A seamless transition transported the narrative to the bandit who had directed Roman to this particular bar. He unraveled the intricacies of the establishment, detailing the missions assigned through a special code. Intrigued, Roman sought to decode this clandestine language, learning that the code involved mentioning "Tear of the Dawn," something strong, and work in the morning, all in a specific sequence. The tapestry of events returned to the pub, where Roman, seated calmly, faced the sudden aggression of the bald guy, who unsheathed his sword, signaling an imminent attack. With the grace of a seasoned warrior, Roman swiftly neutralized the bald guy, then turned his attention to the charging members of the bar. In a display of unparalleled skill, he dispatched them with ease, leaving the remaining patrons in awe. The realization dawned upon them that Roman was not the feeble figure they had anticipated. The narrative momentarily diverged to delve into the concept of murim, a martial arts technique that harnessed strength through controlled breathing. Roman, referred to as the Heavenly Demon, had undergone rigorous martial arts training, though he acknowledged that he had not yet reached his zenith. The onlookers, witnessing his extraordinary prowess, were left stunned by the revelation of his hidden abilities. As additional assailants approached Roman, he dismissed them as mere nuisances, effortlessly thwarting their attempts. The bald guy, regaining consciousness, questioned Roman's motives. Uninterested in providing explanations, Roman pointed out that they had initiated the attack, and now only he and the bald guy stood amidst the aftermath. Roman expressed his intent to pose some questions to the bald guy and led him away for a private conversation. In this moment of tension and revelation, soldiers under the command of Captain Jonathan stormed into the bar, met with a scene of chaos orchestrated by Roman. The tumultuous atmosphere left them shocked and bewildered. Another soldier relayed information from a survivor on the second floor, unveiling the destination of young Master Roman, Lawrence. Jonathan's surprise mingled with confusion as he pondered the reason behind Roman's choice of location. The soldier added that the survivor mentioned Lawrence as the primary stronghold of the Bloodfang. In the ebbing shadows of a clandestine encounter, the narrative unfolds with a clandestine air, transporting us to a pivotal moment that transpired just an hour ago. Roman, a figure cloaked in mystery, finds himself in the company of a bald man, his fingers lost to some ominous past. The air is thick with tension as the bald man, tethered to the dark underbelly of the Bloodfang, remains resolute in his silence. A palpable sense of despair permeates the scene as the bald man implores Roman to end his life, a desperate plea born out of the looming threat of the Bloodfang's vengeance. Yet Roman, with a cryptic smile playing on his lips, admires the bald man's stoicism. There's an unexpected affinity that sparks within Roman, an appreciation for those who endure unspeakable torment without succumbing to the temptation of divulging secrets, those unafraid to stare death in the face. There's a peculiar fondness in Roman's voice, an acknowledgement of the strength he perceives in those who remain tight-lipped amidst torture. It is a testament to Roman's understanding that beneath the veneer of suffering lies the potential for harboring the most valuable of secrets. In an intriguing shift, Roman's attention is drawn to something unseen by the naked eye. A flicker in his gaze betrays the emergence of a plan, a method to test the bald man's resolve further. Roman, with a calculated ease, picks up a photograph. With a deliberate tone, he informs the bald man of his intent to locate and kill the young figure captured within the frame, purportedly the bald man's son. A seismic shock ripples through the bald man, his features contorting with disbelief and dread. Yet in a striking display of defiance, he vehemently denies any familial ties to the innocent face frozen in the photograph. Roman, undeterred, accuses the bald man of falsehoods, insisting that the boy's likeness to the captive is too uncanny to dismiss. Tempers flare as the bald man, angered by Roman's audacity, questions the nobility of one resorting to threats against a family. Roman, however, unfurls a chilling revelation, an insight into the Blood Fang's sinister workings. He peels back the layers of the criminal organization, exposing a modus operandi that turns seemingly ordinary individuals into devilish pawns. Roman delves into the organization's tactics, illustrating how Blood Fang coerces individuals into servitude, pushing them to the precipice of morality. The bald man, however, remains unyielding, steadfast in his belief that the truth won't alter the course of the Blood Fang's retribution. Undeterred, Roman advises the bald man to choose carefully where he places his allegiances, hinting at the high stakes of their ominous game. In a haunting oath, Roman solemnly swears to carry out his earlier threat, a pledge to seek out and end the life of the bald man's son. Yet before the final curtain falls, Roman extends an unexpected olive branch. He gives the bald man a chance, a fleeting opportunity to save his kin. The choice is left dangling in the air, a macabre dance between silence and salvation. As the narrative pivots, we are transported to a different setting, a house where a subordinate relays a tale of Roman's unprecedented feat. An entire division vanquished by the hand of one who was once rejected from the prestigious Royal Swordsman Academy. The shockwaves reverberate through the boss, who, incredulous, seeks Roman's current whereabouts. The revelation that Roman has departed the Dimitry region, armed with information extracted from the morning dew. The bald man enrages the boss. Roman's audacious assault on their headquarters, seemingly a solo endeavor, ignites a fury within the boss. Determined to eradicate this perceived threat, the boss commands a gathering of forces, vowing to eliminate Roman before the formidable Dimitry knights intervene. Simultaneously, the stage transitions to the Lawrence family's palace, a bastion of power and intrigue. The family, displeased with the decisions of the Barco family, engages in a tense discussion about the brewing storm of war. Whispers of substantial loans from the Gold Bank and the ominous preparation for an impending conflict cast a shadow over the once stable Lawrence territory. Flora's father, a patriarch burdened by the weight of impending doom, contemplates the unforeseen turn of events. The central government's unexpected alignment with the Barcos jeopardizes Lawrence's hold on their fertile soil. Amidst fervent debates, an elder statesman urges the family to cling to their territory at all costs, knowing that the survival of Lawrence hinges on the richness of their soil. In a strategic move, Flora's father reveals a glimmer of hope, a marriage alliance with the Dimitry family. The prospect of the Dimitrys' support, their wealth and influence, sparks a flicker of optimism among the Lawrence family members. Their joy is palpable, a momentary respite from the encroaching darkness. Yet, as joy blooms, a cloud of uncertainty descends upon Flora. Outside the door, she grapples with a secret that threatens to unravel the delicate tapestry of alliances, the broken engagement with the Dimitrys. Filled with trepidation, she contemplates the impending revelation to her father, a confession that might fracture the familial unity. In a moment of vulnerability, a soldier emerges, disrupting Flora's internal turmoil. An emergency, a word that shatters the fragile peace within the Lawrence palace, propels the narrative forward. The scene transitions to the border, where Captain Jonathan and his soldiers plead with the Lawrence guards to open the door, citing Roman's imminent danger. A standoff ensues, the Lawrence soldiers unwavering in their demand for protocol. Yet, a revelation of chaos in the Lawrence Plaza prompts Captain Jonathan to escalate his plea. The tension crescendos, setting the stage for a potential breach, all while the fate of Roman Dimitry hangs in the balance. In a riveting twist, the narrative shifts to the Lawrence Central Plaza, a theater of shock and disbelief. Roman emerges, dragging the leader of the Blood Fang, a visual testament to the sinister connection between the criminal organization and the impending war. In the muted hues of dusk, the narrative unfolds, traversing back in time to the clandestine heart of the Blood Fang's lair. The shadows dance with anticipation as the malevolent assembly of the Blood Fang readies itself for the impending confrontation with Roman. Weapons glint ominously, a symphony of danger echoing in the air. The leader, shrouded in overconfidence, believes that the sheer numbers of his faction guarantee victory. Yet, in a sudden twist of fate, fear grips the leader's core, a visceral terror that eclipses his bravado. The scene unravels, revealing Roman's handiwork, every member of the Blood Fang incapacitated, a testament to the enigma that is Roman. His figure emerges, a silhouette against the chaos he has sown, and he strides purposefully towards the quivering leader. Panic engulfs the Blood Fang's commander, who, confronted with the stark reality of his imminent demise, recoils in terror. The narrative seamlessly transitions to the present, the streets serving as the stage for Roman's relentless pursuit of justice. The Blood Fang leader, now at the mercy of Roman's iron will, pleads for his life in a desperate crescendo. Roman, an embodiment of stoicism, remains impervious to the pleas, dragging the blood-soaked figure into the public eye. As the leader begs for mercy, promising servitude in exchange for his life, Roman's refusal reverberates through the onlookers. The streets bear witness to the clash of morality, the executioner and the condemned entangled in a macabre dance. Roman's foot descends with a resounding stomp, a grim finality that echoes through the horrified crowd. The public spectacle unfolds, and Roman seizes the opportunity to lay bare the sins of the Blood Fang. His voice, a clarion call, exposes the organization's malevolence, its tendrils reaching even into the sanctum of the Dimitry family. Roman, unmasking the Blood Fang's treachery against his kin, paints a vivid picture of their nefarious methods, the twisted path that turns ordinary souls into pawns of darkness. The crowd, captive to the unfolding drama, grapples with the shock of revelations. Roman's declaration echoes, condemning the Blood Fang's atrocities and laying bare the gravity of their crimes. A chilling resolve lingers in the air as Roman pronounces his intent, to extract the evil from the Blood Fang's leader in the most visceral manner. The execution plays out, a grim tableau that etches itself into the collective memory of the witnesses. Roman's blade becomes an instrument of retribution, severing the ties that bind the Blood Fang to its insidious leader. Captain Jonathan, arriving on the scene, is caught in the undertow of shock, his gaze transfixed upon the brutal spectacle unfolding before him. The narrative pivots to the hallowed halls of Lawrence's seat of power, a meeting room steeped in tension and disquiet. The Lawrence family, blindsided by the revelation of Roman's unorthodox intervention, grapples with the ramifications of his audacious act. Flora's father, the Baron, stands at the epicenter of the storm, a visage of disbelief etched upon his countenance. The members of the Lawrence family, privy to the unsettling news, express concern over the gravity of Roman's actions. The specter of unauthorized murder looms, an offense that demands attention. Yet Flora's father, a complex tapestry of emotions, is torn between the need for justice and a begrudging acknowledgement of the Blood Fang's malevolence. In a decisive moment, Flora's father resolves to summon Roman, seeking clarity from the orchestrator of this unforeseen upheaval. The door creaks open, heralding Roman's entrance into the chamber. The presence of Captain Jonathan at Roman's side serves as a testament to the collaborative efforts that transpired in the pursuit of justice. Roman, stoic and resolute, greets the Baron with a nod, a subtle acknowledgement of the complex dynamics at play. Flora's father, not one to mince words, implores Roman to unravel the enigma behind his violent foray into Lawrence territory. The air thickens with tension as the fate of alliances and engagements teeters on the precipice. The narrative unfurls another layer as the scene shifts outside the room, where Flora, unaware of the storm brewing within, seeks answers from a soldier. Her inquiry, tinged with curiosity, revolves around the enigmatic figure who had just entered her father's office, Roman Dimitry. The soldier, bearing witness to the unfolding drama, cryptically hints at a revelation that awaits Flora. Back within the confines of the meeting room, Roman begins to recount the genesis of his intervention. The tale weaves through the fabric of days past, an odyssey that commenced with the Blood Fang's assault on an innocent citizen. A catalyst for Roman's decisive action, the recollection unfolds like a somber ballad, each note resonating with a sense of duty and moral imperative. Flora's father, a mixture of incredulity and concern, presses Roman on the authority that sanctioned his intervention. Roman, with a measured gaze, acknowledges the lack of explicit authority, laying bare the skepticism he harbored regarding Lawrence's proactive stance against the Blood Fang. A ripple of discontent courses through the Lawrence nobles, while Captain Jonathan, once a confidant of Roman's, grapples with the transformation of the man before him. Roman's revelation casts a shadow on the apathy of Lawrence's response to the Blood Fang's menace. The nobles, indignant at Roman's audacity, question the propriety of his unilateral action. Yet Flora's father, a shrewd tactician, contemplates the essence of Roman's gambit, a move born out of necessity, a stark reminder of Lawrence's failure to curb the Blood Fang's influence. As Roman faces the scrutiny of Lawrence's nobility, a surprising twist unfolds. The Baron's pragmatic admission that he was unaware of Ben Miles' true identity. The revelation shifts the dynamics, forcing the nobles to confront the reality that the Blood Fang's leader had operated under the guise of criminal notoriety within Lawrence's jurisdiction. In a masterful stroke, Flora's father diffuses the tension, declaring the case closed and absolving Roman of immediate consequences. The calculated move is a testament to the Baron's political acumen, recognizing the potential benefits of aligning with a figure capable of decisive action. Roman, unyielding in his convictions, stands his ground. The meeting concludes with a promise of future rewards for Roman, a gesture that hints at a nuanced understanding of the value he brings to the Lawrence alliance. Outside the meeting room, the Baron instructs his servant to summon Flora, anticipating a pivotal moment of revelation. The wheels of fate turn, and Flora, blissfully unaware, is beckoned to meet her father, a meeting that promises to reshape the contours of her future. The narrative threads intertwine as Roman, Jonathan, and their retinue return to the Dimitry territory. Captain Jonathan, unable to reconcile the metamorphosis of the once familiar Roman, confronts him about the provocative confrontation with the Baron. Roman, enigmatic and calculated, unveils the rationale behind his actions, the perception of Lawrence's negligence, and the need for decisive intervention. Jonathan, stunned by Roman's foresight, grapples with the realization that the man before him has evolved into a strategic architect, a far cry from the Roman Dimitry of yesteryears. The chasm between expectation and reality widens, and Jonathan, like the Lawrence nobles, struggles to comprehend the layers of complexity that now shroud Roman's identity. In the tapestry of celestial lineage, Joong-Hyuk Baek emerged as an enigmatic figure, the son of the Heavenly Demon whose destiny unfolded in the crucible of a pit, a place where the cold, hard ground bore witness to his struggle for survival. His father, the celestial patriarch, cast him into this desolate abyss, an arduous proving ground meant to extract from Jong the essence of his worth. A chilling proclamation echoed through the pit as Jong's father, indifferent to the plight of his 12 children, declared that Jong's death held no significance. To the Heavenly Demon, progeny were expendable, mere numbers to be replenished without remorse. The celestial patriarch, a harbinger of divine indifference, conveyed a solemn directive to Jong, a mandate to ascend to power, to reign over the pit's inhabitants, and thereby to prove himself worthy in the eyes of his father. Yet destiny took an unexpected turn in the form of a punch. A fellow child, misguided by the allure of Jong's celestial lineage, unleashed a physical blow that shattered the illusion of divine privilege. In the eyes of this child, Jong was not a figure of reverence but an arrogant brat. A violent confrontation ensued, unraveling a childhood marked by brutality in a world where only the strongest held sway. The assailant, unimpressed by Jong's celestial pedigree, delivered a swift blow to his chin, sending him sprawling to the unforgiving ground. Jong, undeterred, attempted to retaliate, but his efforts were in vain as the child deftly dodged his attacks and retaliated with a forceful blow to Jong's chin. The pit became a battleground, witnesses to the primal spectacle of a celestial hare brought low by the harsh realities of survival. Childhood unfolded amidst the pit's desolation, where other children were shielded by the protective embrace of their parents. Jong, however, was an anomaly. Thrown away in a world where only the strongest reigned, his struggles, etched in the scars on his body, told a tale of resilience and primal determination. The narrative then transcended time, shifting to the opulence of Dimitry's palace in the present. Here, Jong had metamorphosed into Roman, a figure of power and complexity. In the solitude of his chamber, Roman immersed himself in a bath, feeling the weariness of his new body that tired easily. The echoes of an awakening in a world dominated by the enigmatic Blood Fang resonated within him. Roman reflected on the choices he had made, choices that led him to annihilate everything obstructing his path in the pursuit of the Blood Fang. His convictions remained unshaken. He had not wavered in becoming the person he was. In his past life, he had been a force to be reckoned with, slicing and torturing those who obstructed him, utilizing any means necessary against those with killing intent. The bath became a vessel for Roman's contemplation, a moment of introspection amid the suds and warmth. The danger of his previous encounters with the Blood Fang loomed over him, prompting caution. He acknowledged that he had not fully grasped the intricacies of this new world, and that his true strength had waned compared to his previous life as Joong-Hyuk Baek. As Roman pondered his next move, a servant interrupted his thoughts with news of a summons from his father, the lord of Dimitri's palace. Roman acknowledged the call, promising to be there shortly. The scene then shifted to the opulent confines of Roman Dimitri's office, where incredulity hung heavy in the air. Jonathan, an astute observer, noted the profound transformation in the young master. Roman's father, Baron Romero, confronted the anomaly of his son, and the current young master is not the same person they used to know before. Roman's father tells Jonathan that Roman is his sore thumb, as he is the only one of his sons who doesn't have anything impressive about him, and he is also the only child that went through the time when Roman's father was a commoner. A poignant flashback unfurled, revealing Roman's father as a commoner toiling in a mine. Young Roman's innocent visit marked by a simple offering of candy, as young Roman wanted his father to finish his work quickly so they can go home together, which is why Roman's father wished Roman to be happy, and this is also the reason he favored Roman and also gave Roman a lot of allowance so he wouldn't be made fun of for being poor. Yet the unintended consequences unfolded as Roman veered down a path of deviation. Roman's father, recognizing the divergence in his son, had already resigned a part of himself to the belief that Roman was beyond redemption. However, news of Roman single-handedly dismantling the Blood Fang rekindled a flicker of hope, prompting a resurgence of paternal optimism. Roman emerged from his chamber, greeted by his father, who beckoned him inside. The paternal proclamation echoed through the corridors, an unwavering declaration that regardless of the means Roman employed against the Blood Fang, his father stood ready to do anything for him. In the office, Roman stood before his father, who had heard of his solo triumph against the Blood Fang. As Roman pondered whether to reveal the truth, his father's eyes burned with hope. Baron Romero had high expectations for what Roman was about to say. The tension in the room, thick with anticipation, hung on Roman's next words. Roman thinks that his father will see him in a totally new light if he told him the truth, but also achievements that exceed expectations come back to bite him. And so if Roman back off right now, he could earn some time for himself to grow. Roman wonders if he should tell the truth or hide it. The narrative then unfurled a tapestry of contrasts, transitioning to the past where Jong, in his former self, endured a merciless beating by a child. The echoes of the pit resounded as Jong, battered and bruised, seized a rock. In a surge of primal determination, he retaliated, taking down his assailant with brutal force. The kid falls to the ground, covering his face in fear. Jong gets back on his feet and brutally punches the man with a rock in his hand, ending his life. Onlookers are shocked by this violent act. Jong proudly declares to everyone in the cave that he has defeated the boss, establishing himself, Joong-Hyuk, as the dominant force. The scene then shifts to the present, where Roman confesses to his father that he was the one who took down the Blood Fang, as Roman was Joong-Hyuk in his previous life who doesn't know how to hide his superiority. The Dimitri's Territory Training Center stood as a bastion of martial development, where the echoes of clashing swords and the fervent hum of disciplined training filled the air. In this crucible of aspiring knights, Baron Dimitry, accompanied by his trusted advisor Jonathan and enigmatic son Roman, made a grand entrance. The sight of the Baron, Jonathan, and Roman walking in prompted all the students and their instructors to stand in line, extending a collective welcome that resonated with awe and respect. Among the sea of aspiring knights, a brown-haired observer's attention was drawn to Roman's unexpected presence. The silent question lingered in his mind. What was Roman doing here, in the heart of the training center? The mystery deepened as the trio of Baron Dimitry, Jonathan, and Roman took their places within the vast expanse of the training facility. The anticipation peaked as Jonathan, assuming the role of a herald, addressed the gathered students. A ripple of curiosity swept through the onlookers as they learned of the day's main event. A swordsmanship duel featuring none other than the young master Roman. Jonathan, with a commanding presence, opened the floor to the students, inviting them to step forward if they wished to participate. However, to the bewilderment of the brown-haired observer and the entire assembly, a profound silence followed. No eager participant emerged to accept the challenge. Perplexed, the brown-haired individual couldn't fathom the hesitation, pondering who would willingly engage in a duel with Roman. The unspoken sentiment of the crowd seemed to echo his sentiments, doubt and reluctance. The narrative then took a temporal leap, rewinding an hour earlier to a pivotal moment when Roman revealed the startling truth to his father, Baron Romero. In a private exchange, Roman disclosed that he had taken down Blood Fang, a notorious organization, by himself. The shock on Baron Romero's face was palpable as he sought details about Roman's audacious feat. Roman, aware of the need to tread carefully in his response, explained that he had been clandestinely training his swordsmanship skills. Baron Romero, puzzled by the secrecy, questioned why Roman had concealed this endeavor. Roman's revelation unraveled a desire for independence, a longing to escape the cocoon of pampering that surrounded him. Roman expressed that he had spent too long wandering alone and sought to demonstrate that even the perceived fool of the Dimitry family could achieve greatness independently. The conversation pivoted to the core of Roman's revelation, the defeat of Blood Fang. Roman elucidated that the organization, born from illegal loans and sustained through threats and coercion, could crumble if its leader were vanquished. Baron Romero, shocked by Roman's audacity in baiting the Blood Fang leader, Ben Miles, with false information, reprimanded his son for the perceived recklessness of his actions. The discourse explored the calculated risk Roman had taken, utilizing himself as bait. Roman argued that the group, bound by threats and pressure, wouldn't risk their lives to save their leader in a situation where they could regain their freedom. Despite Baron Romero's initial anger, he found himself impressed by Roman's careful planning, decision-making, and the courage to execute the plan. This newfound respect prompted a unique favor from the Baron. He expressed a dying wish to witness Roman's transformed swordsmanship firsthand, eager to see the extent of his son's evolution. Returning to the present, a solemn atmosphere prevailed as it became evident that no one among the aspiring knights was willing to step forward and face Roman in the impending duel. The brown-haired observer contemplated the scenario, concluding that the potential participants saw little to gain in challenging Roman, and the consequences of a loss loomed large. Jonathan, faced with the challenge of an unresponsive crowd, took it upon himself to select a worthy opponent for Roman. His gaze fell upon the brown-haired observer, and with a determined resolve, he called upon Chris, the vice-captain of the Dimitry Knights, to step forward and engage in a duel with Roman. The revelation of Chris as the chosen opponent stirred shock in the atmosphere. The narrative then delved into the past a year ago when Chris first encountered Roman. Reports had surfaced of a disturbance in a restaurant, where a drunkard, causing a ruckus, turned out to be Roman Dimitry. Chris, tasked with restoring order, intervened only to be slapped by Roman. In that moment, Chris realized the stark truth. Roman had never trained, possessing the strength of a below-average adult man. The revelation left Chris incredulous, unable to reconcile the image of the pathetic individual before him with the status of the Lord's son. Returning to the present, the shock of being chosen for a duel against someone he had once considered trash lingered in Chris' expression. Despite his reluctance, Jonathan insisted that Chris, as vice-captain and witness to Roman's confrontation with Blood Fang, was the rightful candidate for a fair match. Attempting to dissuade Jonathan, Chris conveyed his hesitations about facing Roman. However, Jonathan, armed with the knowledge of Roman's exploits against Blood Fang, asserted that Chris' participation was essential for a fair match. Chris, still grappling with preconceived notions about Roman's abilities, half-heartedly accepted the duel. As Roman and Chris faced each other in the arena, the tension reached its zenith. Jonathan, on the brink of initiating the duel, faced an unexpected request from Chris. He expressed a condition, one that reflected the intensity of his training and the gravity of the impending clash. Chris insisted that any duel involving swords should be treated as a real battle, devoid of mercy. He conveyed his unwavering commitment to this principle, regardless of who his opponent was. Jonathan, standing at the crossroads of decision, looked towards Baron Romero, who, in turn, fixed his gaze upon Roman. The air crackled with anticipation. Roman, seemingly unperturbed, responded with a smile. The unexpected display of confidence from Roman left Chris in a state of shock, challenging his assumptions about the Lord's son. The stage was set for a duel that transcended the physical realm. Within the hallowed grounds of the Dimitry's Territory Training Center, anticipation hung thick in the air. The clash between Roman and Chris, the vice-captain of the Dimitry Knights, promised to be a spectacle that would etch itself into the annals of the Dimitry family history. As Jonathan initiated the duel, the atmosphere crackled with tension. Chris, fueled by determination and perhaps a tinge of resentment, charged forward at Roman with unbridled ferocity. The clash of steel echoed through the training center as Chris unleashed a series of rapid strikes, each aimed at testing Roman's mettle. To the astonishment of onlookers, including fellow knights and instructors, Chris's speed was truly formidable. The brown-haired observer, who had initially dismissed Roman, now found himself reevaluating the situation. Perhaps this duel held more significance than he had anticipated. Jonathan, serving as the overseer of this unexpected contest, couldn't conceal his surprise as Roman skillfully blocked Chris's relentless assault. The clash of blades, the dance of precision and strength, left an indelible mark on the witnesses. Roman's defensive posture proved to be not only stable but also adept at withstanding the onslaught from Chris. As the initial shock settled, Chris, too, registered his own surprise. Backing away, he assessed the situation, recognizing the repulsive force emanating from Roman's hands. The defensive prowess displayed by Roman wasn't what Chris had expected. This realization, however, only fueled Chris's determination to beat Roman decisively. Undeterred, Chris gathered his resolve and charged at Roman with renewed vigor. Roman, seemingly possessing an uncanny ability to anticipate Chris's strikes, dodged with the grace of a seasoned swordsman. The ebb and flow of the duel painted a vivid picture of two skilled combatants locked in a dance of blades. Roman, not content with mere defense, shifted his stance and launched a counterattack. The fluidity of his movements left the onlookers in awe. Chris, determined to break through Roman's defenses, intensified his assault. Blow after blow, the clash of swords echoed through the training center. In a pivotal moment, Chris spotted what seemed like an opening, a chance to deliver a final decisive strike. Roman, however, proved to be one step ahead. Evading Chris' attack, Roman swiftly retaliated, his blade grazing Chris's head. The near miss sent shockwaves through the spectators, leaving them questioning the true extent of Roman's abilities. Baron Dimitry and Jonathan, observing the duel with keen interest, were equally taken aback. The knights, initially skeptical of Roman's prowess, couldn't deny the evidence before them. Roman's skill surpassed expectations, and Chris, the once confident vice-captain, found himself reassessing the situation. Chris, grappling with the realization that Roman possessed abilities far beyond his initial estimation, contemplated the potential consequences of defeat. However, a surge of pride and determination surged within him. There was no way he would allow himself to be bested by the so-called idiot of the Dimitry family, especially not in front of an audience. Gritting his teeth, Roman muttered to himself that it was just a warm-up. He declared that he would take the offensive, aiming to turn the tide in his favor. In the blink of an eye, Roman was about to strike, catching Chris off guard. However, Chris managed to block Roman's attack, though he couldn't shake off the feeling that Roman's speed had intensified. With an impressive display of speed and precision, Roman unleashed a relentless flurry of strikes. The other knights, witnessing this masterful demonstration, couldn't help but be impressed. In contrast, Chris found himself barely holding his ground against Roman's onslaught. The realization dawned on him, continuing at this rate would be perilous. Roman, seemingly in control of the duel, prepared for a decisive strike. In a daring move, he aimed to bring the duel to a swift conclusion. Chris, however, seized what he believed to be an opening. In a surge of determination, he lunged at Roman, intending to take him down. Yet Roman, with a smug smirk, effortlessly evaded Chris's attack. In that moment, Chris realized he had fallen into a carefully orchestrated trap. Roman, confident in his imminent victory, prepared for the final blow. In a surprising turn of events, Chris tapped into an unseen well of power, his aura. A surge of energy surrounded him as he unleashed a powerful sword aura, creating a dazzling explosion that captivated the attention of everyone present. Jonathan, realizing the potential danger, shouted for Chris to stop, but Chris was immersed in the fervor of battle and paid no heed, and fully strike Roman with his sword aura, which creates a huge explosion. To the shock of Baron Dimitry, Jonathan, and the assembled knights, Roman managed to evade the devastating strike by deftly ducking. The ensuing explosion, while impressive, left Roman unscathed. In a swift and decisive move, Roman seized the opportunity created by Chris' reckless maneuver. With a final well-timed strike, Roman brought Chris to his knees. The training center fell into stunned silence as the realization sunk in. Roman, the perceived fool of the Dimitry family, had emerged victorious over the formidable vice-captain of the Dimitry Knights. Jonathan, Baron Dimitry, and the other knights stood in awe of the unexpected outcome. The brown-haired observer, who had witnessed the entire spectacle unfold, now understood that Roman Dimitry was far more than meets the eye. The duel had not only shattered preconceptions, but also established Roman as a force to be reckoned with within the Dimitry legacy. As the echoes of the duel lingered in the air, the training center bore witness to a transformative moment. Roman, once dismissed as an idiot, had emerged triumphant, rewriting the narrative of his capabilities and leaving an indelible mark on the history of the Dimitry family. The scene shifts to the past, where Chris finds himself engaged in a spirited sparring match with Jonathan, a scene that would later be etched in the memories of their fellow knights. The collective astonishment among the onlookers is palpable as Chris, at his tender age, not only manages to hold his ground against the seasoned Jonathan, but also attains the esteemed rank of a 2-star knight. The murmurs of surprise ripple through the assembly, echoing the disbelief at Chris's meteoric rise in the knightly hierarchy. Adding to the intrigue is the revelation that Chris' journey to a one-star knight took a mere 3.5 years, a feat that defies the conventional timeline for such advancements. The whispers of the crowd betray a mix of admiration and curiosity, as they witness the unfolding spectacle of a prodigious talent making its mark on the knightly order. In the midst of the sparring match is when Chris, upon Jonathan's suggestion, takes a knee. However, what follows is a testament to Chris's unwavering determination and resilience. Rising promptly to his feet, he expresses a keen desire for yet another round. Jonathan, perceptive and impressed, recognizes in Chris not only natural aptitude, but also an unyielding work ethic, a combination that distinguishes him as more than a mere prodigy. Fast-forwarding to the present, the once revered swordsman, Chris, finds himself facing an unexpected challenge in the form of Roman. The disbelief etched on the faces of Jonathan and Roman Dimitry mirrors the shockwaves resonating through the knightly enclave. In a moment that challenges the established order, Roman, seemingly an inconspicuous troublemaker a month ago, emerges as a formidable adversary. Roman Dimitry, seeking clarification from Jonathan, inquires whether he had forewarned him about the significance of Deputy Knight Commander Chris, Jonathan's most prized 2-star aura knight. The revelation of Roman's prowess sends ripples of disbelief, challenging the preconceived notions of the onlookers. The skills displayed by Roman transcend the markers of a mere 1 or 2 years of training, hinting at a depth of experience and dedication that defies expectation. Jonathan, with a measured demeanor, dismisses the surprise of his comrades, attributing Roman's extraordinary skills to an innate genius. He points to the fusion of natural talent and relentless work ethic as the catalyst propelling Roman's rapid advancement. While Chris's skills remain commendable, Jonathan acknowledges Roman's unique prowess, labeling him a genius in his own right. Roman, in his assessment, believes that Chris possesses the capability to single-handedly dismantle the notorious Blood Fang gang. The juxtaposition of standards within the order becomes apparent as Jonathan beams with pride for Chris, considering him a skilled warrior by their measures. Yet Roman, with a discerning eye, places Chris at the bottom of his own stringent hierarchy. Despite Roman's initial disbelief at Chris's actions, Roman Dimitry breaks into applause, reveling in the realization that his eldest son is, indeed, a genius in the realm of sword skills. Turning to Jonathan for reassurance, Roman Dimitry seeks confirmation of the revelation, expressing immense joy at the recognition of the latent potential within his progeny. In this revelation, Roman Dimitry finds a profound sense of pride and contentment, grateful for the genius that Chris undeniably embodies. In a moment of triumph and pride, Roman's father beckons him forth and expresses unparalleled happiness at the accomplishment his son has achieved independently. Overflowing with admiration, he commends Roman's success and extends an invitation to applaud the young man for his remarkable feat. Roman's father, exuding a sense of paternal pride, assures his son that a fitting reward awaits him and encourages Roman to articulate any desire he may harbor. With a sly smirk, Roman, cognizant of his impending departure for the battlefield, asserts to his father that rather than seeking exemption from enlistment, he wishes for the autonomy to select his own comrades. The unexpected nature of this request leaves Roman's father visibly surprised. Seeking clarity, Roman's father questions the rationale behind this peculiar choice, given the considerable time remaining before Roman must depart for the battlefield. In response, Roman elucidates his desire for independence in choosing his own team, a sentiment rooted in his belief that such a privilege would be paramount for his success on the impending mission. Acknowledging the gravity of Roman's request, his father acquiesces, conferring upon him the authority to assemble his own team. Roman expresses his gratitude, but there remains one final matter on his mind. Seizing the opportunity, Roman addresses his father with a final request, one that carries the weight of future decisions. Roman's father, attuned to the significance of this moment, assures Roman that as long as he continues to demonstrate the caliber witnessed in his recent achievement, there shall be no grounds for refusal. The scene transitions to Chris's room, where shock washes over him upon learning that Roman wishes to be instructed in the art of aura manipulation. Stunned, Chris turns to Jonathan, expressing his disbelief at the audacity of such a request. Jonathan, unfazed, informs Chris that this directive comes directly from the Lord, emphasizing its non-negotiable nature. Struggling to reconcile the notion of imparting aura knowledge to the very individual he recently engaged in combat, Chris protests, recounting his futile attempt to counter Roman's skillful maneuvers. Chris, desiring nothing more than to retreat into obscurity, finds himself at odds with Jonathan's insistence on undertaking the responsibility of teaching Roman the intricacies of aura manipulation. In an attempt to assuage Chris's reservations, Jonathan proposes an offer that captures Chris's attention, prompting his eyes to widen in curiosity. Jonathan, with a solemn gaze, approaches Chris and expresses a unique proposition: to teach the young master Roman and discern the nuances that set him apart. This request comes with a promise that, should Chris successfully navigate this task, Jonathan pledges to unveil all his closely guarded secrets to him. The weight of this offer leaves Chris visibly stunned, prompting him to seek confirmation on the sincerity behind Jonathan's words. In response to Chris's incredulous inquiry, Jonathan affirms the seriousness of his proposal. He articulates that, in the event of Chris accomplishing the assigned task, the coveted knowledge required to ascend to the esteemed rank of a 3-star aura knight will be divulged. The gravity of this pledge hangs in the air as Chris, grappling with the implications, bites his lip in contemplation before ultimately accepting Jonathan's offer. The scene transitions to Roman's chamber, where his butler brings tidings of the castle abuzz with rumors of Roman's extraordinary victory over the deputy knight commander. Roman, contemplating the aftermath of his recent triumph, quizzes his butler on the concept of aura. The butler, candidly admitting his lack of knowledge, suggests that it might be akin to the ability to manipulate mana. Roman, drawing from his experiences in the realm of Murim, perceives a disparity in the terminologies. While the energy demonstrated by Chris is recognized as a surge of power in Murim, the local reference to it as aura strikes him as somewhat inefficient. Roman contemplates the divergence in the utilization of energy, concluding that the inhabitants of this realm may benefit from a deeper understanding of the powers they wield. Anticipating the upcoming training session with Chris, Roman resolves to investigate firsthand the intricacies of aura manipulation in this unfamiliar land. The stage is set for a collision of knowledge and perspectives. The narrative shifts outdoors, where Roman and Chris stand facing each other. A subtle smile graces Roman's face, eliciting a surge of irritation from Chris. Managing to quell his rising frustration, Chris decides to lay the groundwork before delving into their training session. With a composed demeanor, he begins to enlighten Roman on the intricacies of aura. Chris elucidates that aura is a specialized manifestation of mana, specifically tailored for the utilization by knights. In contrast to magicians who channel mana through circlets, knights store this potent energy throughout their bodies. The historical luminary in the realm of aura was Emperor Alexandro, credited with the groundbreaking insight that disseminating stored mana across the body could fortify one's physical prowess. Aura then becomes the act of projecting this accumulated mana outward, concentrating and releasing it for a surge in power. Acknowledging the historical context, Chris assures Roman that the arcane origins of mana are not paramount for their immediate endeavor. Instead, he steers the conversation towards the rarity of individuals who can harness mana effectively. Approximately 1 in 1,000 men choose the path of an aura knight, while a mere 1 in tens of thousands can traverse the intricate route of a magician. The pivotal initial step for an aspiring aura knight is the ability to sense mana, a hurdle most fail to surmount. Chris reflects on his own journey, recounting that it took him about half a year to develop this sensory capability, a time frame considered commendable, given that many take more than a year to achieve even basic mana perception. Here, innate talent emerges as a decisive factor. Roman, absorbing this newfound knowledge, expresses eagerness to commence training with a focus on mana sensing. Intrigued, he queries Chris about the methodology employed in honing this skill. Chris willingly agrees to share his insights, contemplating the latent pride Roman might harbor after triumphing over him in their recent match. However, Chris cautions Roman that their training won't be as straightforward as Roman perceives. Proficiency in swordsmanship, which Roman has demonstrated, differs significantly from talent in mana manipulation. The impending reality check, Chris hints, will reveal the nuanced challenges that lie ahead. Unbeknownst to Roman, the premise of their aura training might require recalibration. Considering Roman's existing awareness of mana sensing and his exposure to the teachings of the Heavenly Demon Magician, in the pursuit of mastery, Roman harbors a conviction that relying solely on his existing knowledge is a shortcut to degradation. Even in the face of tasks whose rationale eludes his comprehension, Roman acknowledges the necessity of familiarizing himself with the processes before him. Chris, a mentor of sorts, advises Roman to attune himself to the cadence of his breath and to focus intently, emphasizing the importance of sensory awareness regarding every point of contact with Roman's body. A crucial juncture arises as Roman begins to channel mana into a singular focal point within his body, the precursor to manifesting what is known as aura. It becomes apparent that Roman's initial struggles with the process yield results as his aura materializes. Yet a twist awaits, confounding expectations. In the mind of Chris, the mentor, Roman's manifestation of aura signifies the attainment of a one-star aura knight status. However, to Chris's astonishment, Roman's entire being is enveloped in a fiery aura, surpassing the anticipated outcome. Roman, in his introspective musings, deems the conventional method of harnessing ki in Murim, wherein waste is purged to facilitate the storage of ki within the body, as inadequate for this new world. Here, the gathering of mana and its natural diffusion throughout the body contrasts sharply with the Murim approach. In this realm, mana, while abundant, is lighter and more prone to escaping the corporeal form. The disparity extends to the methods employed by the denizens of this world, including Chris, whose utilization of aura mirrors Murim's external arts in training the physique, but lacks efficacy in mana retention. The inefficiency of a sword that releases stored mana further underscores the divergent principles at play. Roman, discerning the limitations of this world's techniques, foresees a protracted training regimen yielding little progress. His skepticism is met with incredulity from Chris, who questions the ease with which Roman achieved what took him over a decade to accomplish. In the face of Chris's inquiry, Roman bursts into laughter. The mentor, puzzled, confronts Roman about the apparent mockery of his earnest efforts. In a pivotal exchange between Roman and Chris, Roman raises a thought-provoking question. Amidst Chris's relentless pursuit of his goals, has he ever critically assessed the efficacy of his chosen training methods? The query leaves Chris visibly shocked, prompting him to seek clarification from Roman. Roman, in response, delves into the common tendency of individuals to unquestioningly embrace traditional, inherited training methods as the optimal approach. As Roman learns aura manipulation from Chris, a contemplative air surrounds him. He wonders aloud why people remain fixated on these established methods despite their evident flaws. Is it rooted in ignorance, or is it a testament to Chris's unwavering faith in Captain Jonathan? These reflections underscore Roman's discerning nature and his inclination to question the status quo. Roman succinctly articulates that the simplicity of teaching these established methods contributes to their perpetuation. The reluctance to expose individuals to potential failure or criticism becomes a driving force behind the continuation of such practices. While acknowledging the importance of Chris's decade-long training, Roman points out the irony that Chris never once questioned the methods employed during this extensive period. This realization becomes the source of Roman's amusement, visible in his subtle laughter at Chris's expense. Undeterred by Chris's astonishment, Roman continues his discourse, passing by him with a conviction that there is no perfect answer in the world. He emphasizes that even the methods he, himself, has chosen to follow were born out of a single individual's concerns for their successors. This revelation highlights the intrinsic link between tradition and the well-intentioned worries of those who paved the way. In a philosophical turn, Roman explores the notion that these worries are the root cause of pain in life. Confronting challenges and criticisms during moments of failure becomes the crucible for personal growth. Yet Roman argues, change is essential, drawing parallels to his own life, where he rejected his father's teachings to forge an individual path. As the conversation unfolds, Roman proposes they conclude their training, prompting Chris to seek guidance on his future endeavors. Then Chris asks Roman to tell him what he should do from now on here. The narrative then takes a poignant detour into Roman's past life. A vivid memory emerges where Roman triumphs over a formidable warrior. In the aftermath of the intense encounter, Baek Joong-Hyuk, also known as Roman, sought out the warrior who had faced him in battle. With a blend of curiosity and inquiry, Roman questioned the warrior's intent to persist in retaliation. The warrior, however, humbly acknowledged his defeat and revealed that the Blood Demon sect, under his command, would now align itself with John of the Heavenly Demon sect. In a moment of candid reflection, the warrior admitted to Roman, or Baek Joong-Hyuk, that this was the first occasion he had encountered someone as formidable as John. Sensing an opportunity for guidance, the warrior posed a question similar to the one previously asked by Chris of Roman. "What steps must I take to attain the strength you embody, Joong-Hyuk?" In a profound declaration, the warrior expressed his commitment to Joong-Hyuk, proclaiming a decision to dedicate his life to the formidable warrior. The warrior emphasized the mutual benefits that could be derived from his own journey towards greater strength. In a fervent plea, he implored Joong-Hyuk to share the wisdom and counsel needed for his progression. The scene seamlessly shifts back to the present, where Roman discerns a similar warrior spirit in Chris. Recognizing that Chris has willingly set aside his pride to pursue strength, Roman finds the unfolding dynamics in this world intriguing. His subtle smirk reveals a growing fascination with Chris's journey and the evolving complexities of their shared narrative. In a moment of earnest conversation, Roman countered Chris's revelation by expressing his reluctance to divulge such information. Chris, undeterred, inquired about what Roman desired him to do instead. Roman clarified that he simply advised Chris to break away from the ingrained methods he had adhered to throughout his life. He emphasized that offering a direct answer would only replicate the life choices Chris had made thus far. However, Roman proposed an alternative approach. He suggested that if Chris wished to seek answers firsthand, he should shadow Roman and glean insights from observing his actions. This unexpected proposition left Chris visibly surprised. Roman further disclosed his imminent departure for war in 6 months, urging Chris to closely observe how he confronted various adversaries and triumphed over challenges. Roman encouraged Chris to scrutinize the diverse strategies employed in overcoming foes. In a final compelling statement, Roman outlined a long-term commitment. He challenged Chris to follow him for a decade and witness the evolution of his strength. Roman asserted that by the end of this period, Chris would likely discover the answers he sought if he remained steadfast in his journey alongside Roman. Chris sat in his room, overwhelmed with a sense of melancholy. Memories flooded his mind, particularly those of his days as a trainee knight alongside Jonathan. Back then, he had worked hard to earn the title of a 2-star knight. However, after a conversation with Roman, uncertainty clouded Chris's thoughts, leaving him grappling with the question of what to do next. In a later meeting with Jonathan at the office, Chris decided to open up about his dilemma. He expressed his intention to resign from the knighthood and join Roman on the battlefield, driven by a desire to grow stronger. Jonathan was taken aback by this revelation, sensing that there was more to Chris's decision than met the eye. Chris confirmed that something had indeed happened, prompting Jonathan to carefully consider the gravity of Chris's choice. Acknowledging the weight behind Chris's decision, Jonathan conveyed his understanding. He informed Chris that henceforth he would no longer be affiliated with the Knights of Dimitry. Despite the separation, Jonathan expressed his hope that Chris would protect young Master Roman in his pursuit of strength. Grateful for everything, Chris thanked Jonathan, who reflected on the transformation of the once grieving child he had found on the battlefield. Jonathan, recognizing the evolution in Chris, stood up and shared his conviction that even Chris choosing to follow young Master Roman signified Roman's growth. He assured Chris that Roman was no longer the foolhardy noble Jonathan had once known. Urging Chris into another room, Jonathan emphasized the necessity for Chris to prepare himself for the challenges ahead. To survive on the battlefield, Jonathan believed Chris needed a unique skill, a secret weapon he could call his own. Chris gets happy hearing this. The news of Roman's prowess spread beyond the confines of their meeting. People in the market discussed how Roman, once considered a mediocre noble, had single-handedly defeated the formidable Blood Fang. Kevin, overhearing this, couldn't believe that Roman had accomplished such a feat. He wondered if Roman had done it to fulfill his promise to Kevin, though skepticism lingered. Despite the revelation, Kevin's boss snapped him back to reality, reminding him to focus on his work. In the face of uncertainty and change, Kevin clutched the box tightly, the weight of it mirroring the burning determination in his eyes. In that quiet moment, he found himself contemplating a profound desire, the aspiration to embody the strength and resilience he saw in young Master Roman, to become a force formidable enough to shield those around him, to be a protector in a world still haunted by threats like the ominous Blood Fang. For Kevin, the path forward demanded strength, a strength he believed he lacked but desperately needed to acquire to safeguard his family from the unpredictable dangers of their existence. As he ambled along, absorbed in his thoughts, Kevin's eyes widened with shock. There, standing before him, was young Master Roman. The unexpected encounter left Kevin bewildered, his mind struggling to comprehend why Roman would be in this place at this time. A sense of awe washed over Kevin, and without a second thought, he found himself instinctively bowing before the young master. Gratitude poured from Kevin's words as he thanked Roman for the intervention that had allowed his family to persevere through challenging times. Roman, always composed, responded with a calm reassurance. He encouraged Kevin not to dwell on the past and inquired about Kevin's well-being. Kevin, in turn, shared the positive changes that had unfolded in his life after the confrontation with the Blood Fang. The threats had ceased, and he had found gainful employment through the assistance of Marhance. Kevin was grateful for the turn of events but struggled to find words adequate enough to express his profound gratitude to young Master Roman. In response, Roman, with a calm and collected demeanor, extended an unexpected offer. If Kevin were to accept, Roman pledged not only to alleviate the financial burdens that weighed heavily on Kevin's family, but also to elevate their standard of living to one of comfort and abundance. He promised Kevin a life far removed from the toil of his current employment, where leisure time would be marked by luxury rather than the grind of daily work. Roman assured Kevin that he was fully committed to making this transformation a reality, provided Kevin reciprocated with a pledge of unwavering loyalty. Kevin found himself grappling with the enormity of Roman's proposition. A life beyond his wildest dreams hung tantalizingly before him, contingent upon his allegiance to young Master Roman. Roman painted a vivid picture of a future where Kevin's family need not worry about financial struggles, where their days would be marked by security and opulence. The allure of such a life was undeniable, and yet the commitment required gave Kevin pause. In a moment of solemn determination, Kevin lowered his head to the floor, a symbolic act of acceptance that signaled his commitment to Roman's terms. He pledged not only his service but his very life to young Master Roman. In his earnest devotion, Kevin swore to follow any command issued by Roman, even if it meant facing death. The only condition, Roman's solemn promise to safeguard Kevin's family, an assurance that Kevin's fate was now irrevocably intertwined with Roman's will. Observing this display of unwavering loyalty, Roman couldn't help but smile. Kevin's commitment, sealed with his own blood, evoked memories of a wild stallion from Roman's past, a creature untamed, relentless, and fiercely loyal. The image also conjured thoughts of the blood demon, a formidable warrior whose fervor mirrored Kevin's own. Roman sensed that in Kevin he had found a kindred spirit, someone who, like the crazed stallion and the blood demon, would prove to be an invaluable asset in the times to come. With a satisfied smile, Roman formally declared that, from that moment onward, Kevin's life belonged to him. The pact was sealed, and Roman anticipated that Kevin's loyalty would be an investment well worth the effort. The narrative pivots to the resplendent palace where Roman, the master of this regal domain, confides in Hans, his venerable butler. Roman divulges the story of Kevin, the novice in their midst, entrusting Hans with the pivotal role of aiding Kevin in navigating the opulent yet unfamiliar intricacies of life within the palace walls. In a gesture of benevolence, Roman assures Kevin of his imminent return, leaving the newcomer to express profound gratitude for the unforeseen turn of events. Before Roman departs, he imparts a directive to Kevin, guiding him to the library should he require any assistance. Kevin, grappling with the magnitude of the moment, sincerely thanks Roman for his unparalleled generosity. Roman proceeds to the sanctuary of knowledge that is the library, leading Kevin under the watchful guidance of Hans, the stalwart custodian of the estate. Within the hallowed halls of the library, Roman delves into the profound teachings of a tome delineating the path of an aura knight. The text unfurls the intricate stages of ascending within the ranks of this prestigious order, with the embodiment of aura serving as the hallmark of progression. The mere glimmer of aura designates one as a modest one-star aura knight. Advancement to the esteemed 2-star rank requires the demonstration of the ability to cut through steel using the ethereal force of aura. The intensity and strength of this manifested aura become the benchmarks that determine an individual's rank. Ascending to the revered status of a 3-star aura knight places one beyond the comprehension of ordinary mortals, warranting exclusive treatment within the kingdom's hierarchy. As Roman immerses himself in the illuminating pages of the book, the narrative unfolds the elusive lore of the 6-star knights. Whispers of their existence, said to dwell within the mythical Salamander continent, echo through the ages. Astonishingly, tales of individuals attaining the fabled 7th-star rank remain shrouded in mystery. Even among the illustrious top 10 ranked knights, few have managed to ascend to the exalted 6th star. In Roman's discerning eyes, the prowess displayed by a 2-star knight, exemplified by the formidable Chris, and even the esteemed Jonathan, a 3-star knight, appears diminutive compared to the awe-inspiring might of those at the 6th star. Roman contemplates the ethereal flames these elite knights conjure from their blades, spanning tens of meters with impacts that transcend the realm of mortal understanding. The narrative introduces the enigmatic 12 blades of the continent, a pantheon of individuals who have achieved the mythical 6-star rank. Irrespective of race or nationality, these 12 knights are revered as if they were royalty. Armed with the information gleaned, Roman acknowledges the formidable nature of these knights, astutely recognizing that their ascent to such extraordinary heights with what he deems as inefficient usage of ki signifies an innate and unparalleled talent. Roman's ruminations gracefully say into contemplation of magicians, particularly those who ascend to the seventh circle rank and are honored with the prestigious title of archmage. These enigmatic beings, perceived as a fusion of mortal and divine, embody a walking cataclysm, their power waiting to be unleashed upon the world. These archmages are more dangerous than the six-star aura knights. Roman thinks that magic abilities don't exist within Murim, and now Roman thinks he has a pretty good idea of what to do. Roman thinks he won't know when he will be facing these beings, and while it will be rare that old man Dimitry will do something risky, the fact that he can't predict what might happen is what makes this dangerous for Roman. As someone inherently restless, never destined to remain confined like others, Roman contemplates the need to amass experiences, to carve out a life that satisfies his intrinsic desires, even if it involves navigating the treacherous waters of magic. Excitement courses through Roman as he envisions the adventures that await him in this uncharted territory. The scene shifts to a room, a hallowed space where Roman and Hans make their entrance. Hans, the ever-efficient butler, unveils the room's history as a workshop once utilized by the old baron. Hans, meticulous as always, took measures to ensure strict prohibition against outsiders, going to the extent of preventing the passage of air. Roman, discerning the potential of this secluded space, deems it the ideal locale for honing his newfound magical prowess. Expressing his intent to dedicate the upcoming week to rigorous magical training, Roman assures Hans that he won't require sustenance during this period. A steely gaze accompanies Roman's request for absolute privacy. He instructs Hans to permit no one to enter, emphasizing that interruptions are only permissible if Roman's people face imminent danger. Hans, understanding the gravity of the directive, nods affirmatively, leaves the room, and firmly seals the door behind him, leaving Roman in his mystical sanctuary. Within the confines of this room, Roman surveys the straw scattered on the floor, a well-intentioned but disruptive addition by Hans. Appreciating the gesture, Roman recognizes that it disrupts the flow of ki, the life force energy. Setting the straw aside, Roman settles onto the floor, assuming a meditative posture. The intention is to commence the journey towards mastering the techniques of the Heavenly Demon Magician, a path fraught with challenges and revelations. Roman initiates the creation of an aura around him, a critical step to expel impurities from his body and attune himself to the magical energies that lie dormant within. However, the process takes an unexpected turn, marked by the emergence of blood from Roman's face. The mana, the essence of magical power coursing through his body, encounters impediments, revealing an unusual concentration of impurities. Roman, anticipating this challenge, remains unfazed, understanding that it's a necessary phase to gather the minimum mana required to progress to the next stage. The room becomes a crucible of determination as Roman grapples with the consequences of his magical pursuit. The act of bleeding becomes symbolic, a testament to the purification process underway. Roman's resilience shines through as he navigates the turbulent currents of mana, resolving to reclaim his original strength by gathering the essential energies required to traverse the mystical path before him. The stage is set for Roman's odyssey into the mystical unknown as he seeks to harness the powers that lie dormant within him. The current stage of his journey, a relentless pursuit to reclaim the strength of the heavenly demon, marks only the inception of what lies ahead. Fast forward a week, and the scene unfolds in Dimitry's palace. Viscount Lawrence, accompanied by his daughter Flora, has arrived to meet Roman. Seeking information on Roman's whereabouts, the servant informs them that he is currently occupied with pressing matters. Despite the potential discomfort stemming from their unannounced visit, they are directed to the living room to await Roman. As they settle in, Viscount Lawrence, perceptive of the underlying tensions, reflects on the palpable reluctance emanating from the Dimitry household. Anticipating a meeting laden with tension, Viscount Lawrence takes a moment to caution Flora. He emphasizes the need for circumspection and restraint in her words and actions, especially in light of her recent decision to disengage from Roman. Flora, acknowledging the gravity of the situation, affirms her understanding of her father's counsel. The narrative then shifts to the Lawrence Palace, where Flora had earlier divulged her decision to sever ties with Roman. Viscount Lawrence, upon hearing this revelation, is taken aback. He expresses disbelief in his daughter's seemingly impulsive action, questioning her about her understanding of the intricate dynamics within their territory. Flora, initially resolute, asserts the Lawrence family's strength and resilience, implying that they can weather any storm without the Dimitry alliance. However, Viscount Lawrence provides a stark reality check. He lays bare the complex web of political intrigue surrounding their territory. The Barco family, having borrowed extensively from the gold bank, now stands as a formidable adversary. In response, Viscount Lawrence strategically aligned with the Dimitry family, recognizing them as the only ones capable of fending off the impending threat from Barco. Flora's abrupt disengagement jeopardizes this crucial alliance. The conflict, Viscount Lawrence elucidates, has transcended familial disputes. Political machinations involving dubious documents and orders, coupled with support for the Barco family, paint a grim picture. The central government's involvement signals a conspiracy that extends far beyond the scale of a mere familial feud. Viscount Lawrence impresses upon Flora the gravity of their situation, extending to the potential loss of land, honor, and even Flora herself, the cherished flower of Lawrence. Flora, confronted with the harsh realities, is left in a state of shock. Returning to the present, Flora reflects on her willful ignorance and acknowledges that her selfish motivations led her to ignore the dire circumstances facing their territory. She recognizes the urgency to cast aside the pride associated with being the flower of Lawrence and confront the reality that persists outside the bubble of her own desires. The narrative then shifts back to the Baron's location, where Roman, the central figure in this intricate drama, is engrossed in rigorous training. The butler, a figure of concern and responsibility, grapples with the dilemma of whether to approach Roman. Viscount Lawrence and Lady Flora have been waiting since morning, and the day has now transitioned into evening. The butler contemplates breaking Roman's solitude, but a recollection of Roman's explicit instruction not to disturb him restrains any impulsive action. As Hans the butler navigates this internal struggle, the door unexpectedly swings open, revealing the figure of the young master Roman. Hans, startled yet relieved, stands witness to Roman's emergence from his seclusion. Returning to the living room, Baron Lawrence and his daughter Flora find themselves in a state of heightened anticipation as they await Roman's arrival. The room, thick with tension, bears witness to the unfolding drama that has roots in Flora's earlier misstep. Baron Lawrence, contemplating the chain of events set into motion by his daughter's mistake, recognizes the imperative of ensuring the survival of the Lawrence family. In his eyes, the marriage between Roman and Flora stands as a strategic move to secure their position. However, a disquieting feeling gnaws at him, and unable to contain his frustration, he abruptly rises from his seat. Voicing his dissatisfaction, he asserts that he will personally seek out Baron Dimitry, determined to address the perceived injustice. Stepping into Baron Dimitri's office with an air of palpable anger, Baron Lawrence doesn't mince words. He questions the prolonged delay and expresses disbelief at what he perceives as Dimitri's cruelty. Baron Dimitry, maintaining a composed demeanor, acknowledges the sentiments but probes whether an appointment had been scheduled for the meeting. Flora's father conveys that although their visit was unannounced, they had communicated their intention to meet Dimitry a week ago. He further explains that the impetus behind this unexpected visit is Roman's refusal to respond to their requests and the ensuing lack of communication. In response, Baron Dimitry, his expression serious and composed, queries whether Lawrence's grievance is solely about the wait and if he has come solely to express discontent over the delay. However, before Baron Lawrence can respond, Dimitry discloses a crucial piece of information that casts a new light on the situation. On the day Flora Lawrence visited the Dimitry family, Roman had already informed his father about his intention to break off the arranged marriage. While Baron Dimitry scolded Roman for his decision, he recognized the underlying dynamics. He reveals that it was apparent, even to a 3-year-old, that Flora was the reason behind Roman's desire to terminate the arranged marriage. This revelation adds a layer of complexity to the situation. Acknowledging the sensitive nature of the circumstance, Baron Dimitry chose not to question Roman further. Having experienced the unwanted imposition of an arranged marriage himself, Dimitry understood the complexities involved. To him, it seemed ironic that the Lawrences, who had initiated the arranged marriage, were now oblivious to their own role in the unfolding drama. Despite Dimitri's reluctance to meet in the first place, the Lawrences, seemingly unaware of their own missteps, came to him with complaints. Faced with this unexpected disclosure, Baron Lawrence finds himself without a retort. Baron Dimitry underscores the Lawrence family's oversight in their own actions, emphasizing that his anger over a short wait pales in comparison to the Lawrences' ignorance of their own mistakes. Then Baron Dimitry tells them that about a month ago they received contact from the Barco family, and if they decided to move forward with an arranged marriage with the Barco family instead of the Lawrence family, and even the Barco family would give Dimitry a chance to make connections with the central government and give them part of the Lawrence territory. Even then, Baron Dimitry still decided to decline the Barco family offer and then asked the Viscount Dimitrance, does he know the reason why he decided to do that? Viscount Lawrence asked Baron Dimitry why he declined the offer, as it would have been more advantageous for them to take Barco's offer from their perspective. In response, Baron Dimitry, maintaining a straightforward demeanor, explained that the reason was simple. Despite the potential benefits of aligning with the Barco family, Dimitry, with an already established source of power, opted for the option that aligned with his personal preferences. Dimitry disclosed a crucial factor that influenced his decision: the admiration of the eldest son of the Dimitry family for the flower of Lawrence. It was this sentiment that propelled Dimitry into a conflict with the Barco family, a decision he now viewed as a mistake. Viscount Lawrence, reflecting on the situation, realized the gravity of his own actions driven by anger. Recognizing the magnitude of his mistake, he grappled with the consequences and contemplated the next steps. Baron Dimitry, unapologetically, pointed out the apparent mismatch between the flower of Lawrence and the fool of the Dimitry. Despite this, he emphasized that the Lawrence family should have remembered the essence of the Dimitry name. According to Dimitry, once the Dimitry family's name was associated with Roman, his value underwent a significant transformation. Furthermore, Dimitry questioned the desperation behind the push for this marriage, subtly shifting the perspective to highlight the Lawrence family's eagerness. In response to Dimitry's pointed queries, Flora Lawrence found her thoughts drifting back to her days at the academy. In that environment where children from royal families congregated to build knowledge and relationships, she recalled a peculiar figure, a child from the Joel family. The Joel family, a small and seemingly inconspicuous entity, existed more in name than in substance. Flora vividly remembered an incident when Joel, making a minor mistake, became the subject of an orchestrated punishment committee. While other children faced negligible consequences for their errors, Joel's situation escalated. Flora witnessed teachers scolding Joel, and a man, presumably his father, appeared to apologize on his behalf. The father pleaded for forgiveness and vowed to personally instruct his son. Flora, observing from the sidelines, couldn't shake the feeling of sadness at the unfolding scene. Returning to the present, Flora found a wry sense of amusement in her reflection on those bygone days. The contrast between the gravity of the present situation and the seemingly trivial incidents from her past struck her as ironic. Observing the head of the Lawrence family apologizing to the Dimitrys on her behalf, Flora reflects on a past memory involving Joel, a member of a seemingly weak family who faced apologies and repercussions. This memory prompts Flora to draw parallels between Joel's perceived weakness then and the Lawrence family's current situation. In her perspective, this world adheres to a principle where the weak bow down to the strong. As the Lawrences offer apologies, Flora contemplates the dynamics at play, recognizing the inevitability of submission in a world driven by strength. The door opens, revealing Roman, who has undergone a striking transformation with newly dyed purple hair, exuding a cool aura. The surprise is palpable among those present in the room. Roman approaches his father, and an inquiry follows about his completion of training. Roman confirms the completion but defers the discussion to a later time. However, his father redirects attention to the Lawrence family's visit regarding the arranged marriage matter, prompting raised eyebrows from Roman. Roman's father conveys a decision to follow Roman's lead as the head of Dimitry and his father. Roman acknowledges the weight of this decision, understanding the potential consequences of uniting the two families. The conversation turns to Roman's initial decision to proceed with the marriage, prompting an inquiry about his motivations. Roman explains that initially he believed there was value in that decision. However, his perspective shifted upon meeting Flora on the first day. Learning about her reservations regarding the arranged marriage altered Roman's thoughts. He surmises that Flora likely heard rumors about the perceived foolishness associated with the Dimitry family. Recognizing that public opinion might not reflect his true character, Roman expresses his desire to share his life with someone who judges him based on personal interactions. Therefore, Roman asserts his decision to break off the marriage, advocating for no changes to occur. In this moment, Roman's stance crystallizes, grounded in a newfound understanding shaped by personal connections and genuine sentiment. In the aftermath of the revelation that Roman wishes to call off the engagement, a palpable tension grips the room. Flora's father, processing this unexpected turn of events, begins to believe that this arranged marriage, which once seemed like a strategic move for the Lawrence family, is now a thing of the past. The Lawrences, already burdened with a somewhat tarnished reputation, realized that no reputable family would be willing to proceed with an arranged marriage under such circumstances. Flora's father, contemplating the weight of the situation, determines that the family must confront and resolve their internal issues without relying on external alliances. Baron Lawrence, patriarch of the family, furrows his brow as he contemplates the potential consequences. Concerned that a collaboration between Dimitry and Barco might leave the Lawrence family vulnerable and unable to mount an effective defense, he takes a moment to reflect on a strategy to avert this crisis. Baron Lawrence, recognizing the gravity of the situation, decides to humble himself before Baron Dimitry. Bowing slightly, Baron Lawrence apologizes to Baron Dimitry, emphasizing that the entire debacle is a consequence of actions taken by the Lawrence family. He expresses regret and remorse, acknowledging that mistakes were made within their own household. Baron Lawrence, in an attempt to salvage the situation, assures Baron Dimitry that the Lawrence family will forego collecting taxes from those belonging to their lineage. However, Baron Lawrence is acutely aware that this monetary gesture, though intended as a meaningful apology, might hold little significance to the affluent owner of Oran Miners. Nevertheless, he hopes that it serves as a symbolic act of contrition, an olive branch extended to quell the burgeoning feud between the two families. Baron Dimitry, a figure of poise and grace, listens attentively to Baron Lawrence's apology. However, he dismisses the need for such gestures, revealing a mindset that doesn't dwell on potential future conflicts. In his eyes, the Dimitrys are not ones to meticulously weigh their options when confronted with the prospect of future disputes. He advises Baron Lawrence to make a public announcement attributing the end of the engagement to Flora's personal reasons. This, he suggests, would nullify any reason for Dimitry to align with the Barco family, effectively diffusing the potential collaboration that worried Baron Lawrence. Flora's father, relieved at Baron Dimitry's understanding, expresses gratitude for his wisdom and guidance. As they prepare to leave the room, a lingering gaze from Lawrence Dimitry towards Roman hints at a realization. Had he been fully aware of Roman's true worth, he might have been more cautious in advising Flora against impulsive decisions. In this moment of reflection, he acknowledges his own oversight. As the Lawrences exit the room, Roman's father seizes the opportunity to inquire about Roman's experiences over the past week. Roman, recounting the events, explains that the past 7 days were dedicated to intensive training within the confines of a shed. During this period, his focus was on purifying his body, eliminating all impurities, in a quest to attain the coveted human stage of development. As Roman traverses the intricate stages of the human journey, each step unfolds as a crucial building block toward his ultimate transformation into a heavenly demon magician. The Murim standards may not readily applaud these achievements, but within the context of a world saturated with abundant mana and the imperative need to purify Roman's body of lingering impurities, every foundational stride takes on profound significance. The tangible, observable changes in Roman's physical appearance stand as irrefutable proof that he has undergone a metamorphosis, emerging as an entirely distinct entity from his former self. Articulating the depth of this profound transformation to his father poses a formidable challenge. Roman, however, decides to open a window into his solitary training, revealing that amidst the rigorous regimen, he managed to unlock his mind. Though the specifics elude his recollection, Roman holds steadfast to the belief that mana has commenced its circulation throughout his body. The revelation leaves Baron Dimitry, the venerable patriarch of the Dimitry family, visibly taken aback. Learning that Roman has achieved mana circulation, a rare phenomenon enhancing physical capabilities by harnessing natural mana within the body, leaves Baron Dimitry astonished. Such feats are typically reserved for a select few. Witnessing Roman, often dismissed as the fool of Dimitry, accomplish extraordinary tasks, such as confronting the formidable Bloodfang, compels Baron Dimitry to acknowledge that Roman is charting a transformative path beyond the understanding of ordinary mortals. Yet in the face of these awe-inspiring developments, Baron Dimitry maintains the unwavering stance of a father. He underscores to Roman that, irrespective of the extraordinary journey he embarks upon, Roman remains his son. Baron Dimitry issues a poignant reminder, urging Roman to be mindful that his father is ready to extend a helping hand whenever it is needed. Emphasizing the importance of Roman's lineage as the son of Romero Dimitry, Baron Dimitry assures Roman of steadfast support from the shadows. This revelation instigates a profound shift in Roman's perception. Reflecting on his time in Murim, where his father's demeanor was marked by coldness and distance, Roman is moved by the stark contrast presented by his father on earth, a figure not characterized by coldness or ruthlessness, but one offering genuine and unwavering support. This newfound connection with his father fills Roman with gratitude, manifesting in a heartfelt smile and a sincere expression of thanks. Exiting his father's office, Roman's path intertwines with that of Flora, adding yet another layer to the intricate tapestry of his experiences. In a moment of vulnerability and sincerity, Flora extends a heartfelt apology to Roman. She acknowledges the hastiness of her judgments and the resultant complications that reverberated through both of their families. Roman, now radiating confidence and a newfound understanding, responds with grace, assuring Flora that there is no need for an apology. He articulates that, irrespective of their shared past, he had no intentions of continuing with the marriage. As Roman gracefully walks away, leaving Flora to contemplate the shifting dynamics of their relationship, Flora approached Roman quietly from behind, acknowledging the justified anger that simmered within him. Despite their arranged marriage, she understood that neither of them had willingly agreed to it. Moreover, Flora acknowledged her lapse in breaking the promise without prior discussion. However, seizing the moment, she felt compelled to share a crucial revelation with Roman. There was a special reason behind the abrupt cancellation of their impending marriage. Roman, taken aback by this unexpected disclosure, turned to gaze at Flora, a mix of surprise and curiosity etched on his features. Flora began to unravel the intricacies of the situation. During a social gathering hosted by the royal families of the Northeast, a damaging rumor had circulated. It suggested that Flora would be engaged to a member of the Dimitry family. The rumor, however, took a darker turn, insinuating that Roman Dimitry himself indulged in the consumption of drugs, substances that corrode one's sanity and erode knowledge. This revelation struck Roman with a certain gravity. Flora believed it was essential for him to know, despite the falsity of the rumors. At that time, she found herself unable to ignore the malicious gossip that had taken hold of their social circles. Roman, processing this information, assured Flora that regardless of the rumors, their relationship remained unchanged. He comforted her, expressing that there was no need for her to harbor worries any longer. With those words, Roman departed, leaving Flora to contemplate the significance of their conversation. Later that evening, Roman found solace in the library, accompanied by his loyal butler, Hans. The weight of Flora's words lingered in his thoughts. As Roman reflected, he realized that during his intensive training, he had been unable to sense any traces of drugs circulating within his body. This fact stood in stark contrast to the rumors that had suggested otherwise. While signs of medicinal use were apparent in the process of ending the previous Roman's life, it became evident that any remnants of such substances had been completely purged from his system during the rigorous training. Intrigued by these revelations, Roman turned to Hans for insight. He questioned whether Hans had ever witnessed him partaking in drugs or if there had been instances where Hans suspected him of such behavior. Hans, visibly taken aback by the inquiry, was shocked to hear Roman pose such questions. Clarifying that he wasn't jesting, Roman explained that he sought to use this moment to reevaluate his life choices. Instead of relying solely on his own memories, he aimed to gain an external perspective, an unbiased lens through which to scrutinize his past actions and decisions. Hans, unsure of how to broach the topic with Roman, eventually musters the courage to share his observations. Although he hasn't directly witnessed anything, there were instances when Hans found Roman's actions a bit peculiar. In response to Roman's inquiry about when this occurred, Hans recalls an incident from a month ago. During this time, Roman had just returned from a social gathering. While the event itself didn't seem noteworthy, Hans noticed that Roman appeared to be in an unusual state upon his return. Subsequently, it seemed to Hans that Roman had lost the will to live, confining himself to his room. Night after night, Roman would request excessive amounts of alcohol. This led Hans to speculate that Roman might have accessed drugs during that particular party. Clarifying his thoughts, Hans conveys to Roman that, though he initially found the idea far-fetched, it was a concern that lingered. Roman, absorbing this information, reflects on the social gathering hosted by the royal families. Seeking more clarity, he asks Hans if he knows who hosted that party. Hans identifies the host as Anthony Barco, the eldest son of the Barco family. This revelation triggers a cascade of thoughts for Roman. Recalling the events from the perspective of the previous Roman, who had an arranged marriage planned with the Lawrence family, attending a social party hosted by the Barco family had led to abrupt changes in his mental state. Eventually, he decided to take his own life. Connecting the dots, Roman begins to piece together the puzzle of what transpired during that social gathering. Roman found himself grappling with a cascade of perplexing thoughts concerning the demise of the old Roman, a deep dive into the will revealed an unsettling focus. The old Roman's decision to partake in battle instead of allowing his two younger siblings to face the perils. What struck Roman as odd was the sole mention of fear of the unknown on the battlefield. But here's the twist. Roman, the current one, was already betrothed to Flora, and in the intricate tapestry of royalty, wedded members had ample avenues to sidestep the grim call to war. The perplexity deepened as Roman pondered why the old Roman, seemingly on the brink of marital bliss, chose to end his own life out of fear. Something didn't quite add up in Roman's discerning mind. The scrutiny of his own circumstances intensified Roman's internal investigation. He had been promised to Flora, and marriage, a sanctuary from the battlefield, awaited him. A confounding reality lay before Roman. While there were numerous ways for him to avoid the tumult of war, the old Roman had chosen the path of no return. This disconcerting revelation fueled Roman's conviction that there was more to the story than met the eye. Roman, perched on a sofa in contemplation, turned to Hans for solace and answers. He inquired about the nature of the relationship between Hans and Anthony Barco. Hans's response was an unsettling revelation. No one had spent time with Roman lately, and an air of animosity seemed to have enveloped him. Particularly around the time discussions about his union with Lawrence began, Roman's astute mind connected the dots. The arranged marriage between Dimitry and Lawrence emerged as a formidable obstacle for the Barcos, who harbored ambitions of seizing control over the vast lands owned by Lawrence. In Roman's eyes, thwarting this marriage would be the simplest solution to the Barcos' predicament. The hypothesis unfolded further in Roman's thoughts. Barco, driven by a ruthless desire for power, might have employed every means at their disposal to influence the old Roman. Was this Machiavellian maneuvering the catalyst that led the old Roman to his tragic end? The pieces of the puzzle began to align in Roman's mind, painting a picture of manipulation and coercion that culminated in the ultimate tragedy. As the weight of these revelations settled, Hans dropped another bombshell. They had received an invitation from the Barco family a few days ago. Roman's surprise at the Barcos extending an olive branch was palpable. Yet the timing was unfortunate. It coincided with Roman's foray into intensive training. The invitation loomed before them, a decision awaiting resolution. Hans, uncertain about the course of action, sought Roman's guidance. Roman, his face adorned with a sly smirk, felt a surge of confidence. The Barcos, it seemed, were underestimating him. Whatever machinations they were plotting, it bothered Roman. His decision was unequivocal. He would attend the party. The scene transitioned to the next day, unfolding within the grandeur of Dimitry Palace. Hans sought out Kevin to deliver the news that Roman awaited him. Hans, the trusted aide, cautioned Kevin not to be overly surprised by the apparent changes in young Master Roman. Taking in this advice, Kevin, visibly surprised, assured Hans that he understood. With that, Kevin ventured into the room, prompted by the earlier summons. As he questioned Roman about the call, Roman, looking back, gestured for Kevin to enter. The room held an air of unfamiliarity, and Kevin couldn't help but notice a subtle shift in Roman's demeanor. He pondered if this was what Hans had alluded to, the intangible alteration in the atmosphere surrounding young Master Roman. Seated in the room, Roman, seemingly different, prompted Kevin to join him. In response to Roman's question about his recent well-being, Kevin, with a genuine smile, shared that he was doing great. Hans's assistance had played a significant role in helping him acclimate to the palace environment. However, with a hint of uncertainty in his voice, Kevin broached the subject that had been lingering in his thoughts. He confessed to Roman that, despite the positive adjustment, he found himself questioning his role within the palace. Kevin candidly expressed doubt about how someone as ordinary as him could truly make a meaningful contribution to young Master Roman's life. Despite Roman's directive to live for him, Kevin sought clarity on what practical actions he, an ordinary individual, could take. Roman, displaying a level of insight and self-awareness that caught Kevin off guard, revealed his intention to utilize Kevin as his metaphorical sword. This unexpected revelation left Kevin surprised and curious about the implications of such a role. Roman, ever the strategist, then unveiled a unique approach. Instead of dictating Kevin's role, he presented three distinct paths, allowing Kevin agency in choosing his destiny. The first option was for Kevin to relinquish the role of being Roman's sword if the idea of wielding such power was daunting. In this scenario, Kevin could still contribute as Roman's hands and feet, absorbing knowledge and guidance from Hans. The second choice was more intriguing but came with its own set of challenges. Roman proposed that Kevin could become his sword, standing as a protector by his side. However, there was a catch. Given Kevin's lack of experience with a sword, Roman outlined a test of will that involved enduring excruciating pain. Roman explained that this pain would manifest through a method known as limb crushing, a visceral experience simulating the sensation of bones and muscles being crushed. Roman looked intently at Kevin, his words laden with a promise that went beyond mere rhetoric. He assured Kevin that these were not empty words but a commitment backed by a sincere willingness to prove Kevin's true worth. The atmosphere hung heavy with tension as Roman laid out an unconventional option before Kevin. A sword, a drastic measure. Kevin was to sever his own hand. Roman believed in the transformative power of self-inflicted pain, convinced that enduring such a sacrifice could propel Kevin to heights of strength unimaginable to others. As Roman spoke, his mind wandered to the tale of a once mad demon, astray on the unforgiving streets who, through sheer willpower, had risen to become one of the enigmatic 4 heavenly kings. The power of one's will, Roman mused, could transcend the boundaries of the ordinary, turning the seemingly impossible into reality. The question lingered in the air. What would Kevin choose? The room bore witness to the weight of Kevin's decision. Roman, ever calculating, made it clear that regardless of Kevin's choice, he intended to extract value from the outcome. In the recesses of Kevin's mind, memories of his humble origins outside Dimitry Castle resurfaced. The crumbling walls of the old house were a stark reminder of the harsh reality that shaped his early years. Born into adversity, Kevin learned the ropes of survival early on. Following in the footsteps of his parents, he toiled tirelessly, learning every conceivable skill that life demanded. Yet despite his efforts, Kevin's life remained a cycle of stagnation. No matter how hard he worked, someone always appeared to snatch away the fruits of his labor. The narrative of the week, Kevin thought, a life constantly at the mercy of external forces. It was this very narrative that had etched itself into Kevin's consciousness, making it impossible for him to forget the overwhelming strength Roman displayed against the formidable Blood Fang. As Kevin grappled with the decision before him, he contemplated the significance of cutting off his own hand. The act seemed incomprehensible, its implications shrouded in mystery. Yet a burning desire for change, a yearning for strength beyond the ordinary, fueled Kevin's resolve. If cutting off his hand was the path to strength, a strength capable of rivaling the young Master Roman's, then perhaps it was a sacrifice worth making. In a moment of clarity, Kevin voiced his decision to Roman. The room fell silent and Roman regarded him with a serious expression, assessing the gravity of Kevin's choice. Without hesitation, Kevin, fueled by a demonic determination, took up the sword and proceeded to cut off his own hand. The air thickened with tension, and even Roman, known for his calculated demeanor, couldn't conceal his surprise at the sheer intensity of Kevin's resolve. The setting transforms beyond the confines of the room, where Chris strides purposefully toward Roman's quarters. In his mind, Chris is convinced that he has made the choice to forsake his knighthood and align himself with young Master Roman. However, just as he nears the threshold, Roman surprises everyone by declaring a week-long commitment to intensive training. Disheartened by this unexpected turn of events, Chris spots Hans and seeks information about Roman's whereabouts. Word has it that Roman has concluded his training, so Chris inquires of Hans about Roman's location. Hans reveals that the young master is engaged in a private conversation with Kevin, instructing him not to allow anyone entry during their discussion. Chris is left dispirited by this revelation. Inside the room, a chilling scene unfolds. Kevin, in a shocking act, severs his own hand, collapsing unconscious onto the floor. Roman, wearing a stern expression, observes Kevin with a grave demeanor. Meanwhile, outside the room, Hans discovers a sword stained with blood. Concerned, he questions Roman about the gruesome discovery. With a smirk, Roman reassures Hans that the blood isn't his own and divulges that he had cast an illusion spell called the Charm of the Illusion Demon on Kevin. Roman explains that the illusion made it appear to Kevin as though he had amputated his hand, a calculated test to assess Kevin's resilience. Roman reflects on the precarious nature of the situation, acknowledging that had the illusion been even slightly weaker, Kevin might have actually severed his entire hand. With only 2 weeks until the party and 6 months until the impending war, Roman is invigorated by the prospect of imparting crucial lessons. A sly smile creeps across his face as he contemplates the busy days ahead, eager to share his knowledge and prepare for the challenges looming on the horizon. The following day dawned, with Roman approaching Kevin with an air of anticipation. He disclosed a secret to Kevin, a technique of mana enhancement that carried with it an aura of danger. Kevin, taken aback by this revelation, couldn't fathom why Roman would teach him such a perilous skill. The notion of Roman instructing him in the ways of mana enhancement was a surprise in itself. In Roman's mind, this technique was no ordinary skill. It was a page from the ancient martial arts manual, the soul spirit god technique, once wielded by the mad demon and securely stored in the main house's treasury. Roman believed this technique was far from ordinary. It was a perilous method that consumed the user's spirit. It granted power in the face of extreme pain, even when the user had lost all limbs. The mad demon had mastered it under intense agony, becoming a valuable asset to Roman. Convinced of Kevin's potential, Roman felt that if Kevin had the resolve to sever his own hand willingly, he possessed the capability to grasp this technique. It was not just any technique, it was a potent force that demanded unwavering spirit. Roman stressed the dangers, cautioning Kevin about the toll it would take on his spirit. The technique required a resilience that surpassed the trials of yesterday. Roman saw this mana technique as a catalyst for Kevin's growth, a means to make him progressively stronger. Despite the perils, Roman believed it was the fastest way to impart mana knowledge to a teenager lacking the basics. If Kevin could master this technique, he would possess the strength to safeguard everything dear to him. Listening to Roman's words, Kevin felt a surge of happiness. Not only had Roman saved him from the clutches of Bloodfang, but now he was also bestowing a powerful technique upon him. Gratitude welled up within Kevin, and he couldn't help but express his feelings. There was, however, a burning question in Kevin's mind, one he hesitated to ask. Kevin, overwhelmed with emotion, finally questioned Roman about the depth of trust he had placed in him. He admitted that despite swearing loyalty to Roman and pledging his life, he hadn't demonstrated his worth. In a moment of vulnerability, Kevin even confessed his fear of potentially running away after acquiring the technique. He sought an understanding from Roman, wanting to know why the young master had such unwavering trust in him. Roman, with a subtle smile, responded with a simple yet profound answer: just because. Surprise rippled across Kevin's face as Roman disclosed the perilous nature of the mana enhancement technique he was about to teach. Nevertheless, Roman reassured Kevin that their training would commence the following day, urging him to rest for the remainder of the day. As Roman exited, he found himself ruminating on Kevin's inquiry about trust, a question that resonated with a similar one posed by the mad demon in Roman's past life. In Roman's reflections, he concluded that unconditional trust could only be attained when someone truly believed in another. Despite initial doubts, Roman harbored a deep conviction that Kevin would never betray him. The rationale lay in the understanding that, as Kevin grew stronger, he would realize the inherent danger in betraying the heavenly demon. The scene transitioned to the training grounds of Dimitry on the next day, where Roman initiated Kevin into the basics of the technique. Stressing the foundational importance of correct movements, Roman underlined that every action hinged on mastering these fundamentals. Kevin absorbed the teachings, understanding the significance of focus in executing each movement accurately. On the periphery, Chris watched with a sense of boredom and confusion. He couldn't comprehend why Roman was dedicating time to teach swordsmanship to Kevin, a seemingly peculiar choice. Adding to his frustration was the fact that Roman seemed to be neglecting Chris himself. Initially, Chris had believed that aligning himself with Roman would be a shortcut to rapid strength gains. Now, however, he felt like a mere bystander, contemplating a return to Jonathan for guidance. Days rolled by, and Chris's impatience grew. Approaching Roman, he candidly expressed his frustration, acknowledging that the initial week had been spent on Roman's personal training. The subsequent week had him relegated to the sidelines while Kevin basked in Roman's attention. Feeling overlooked and neglected, Chris questioned whether Roman's behavior was a consequence of his initial rudeness. Chris extended a sincere apology if that were the case, expressing a genuine desire for guidance. He pleaded with Roman to extend the same level of teaching to him, asserting confidence in his ability to grasp any skill Roman had to offer. After the revelation, Roman leaned in, reminding Chris of his previous counsel to learn through observation. Chris, taken aback, sought clarification, questioning whether Roman intended for him to literally watch and learn. Roman, with a calm demeanor, explained the intricacies of individual learning styles. For Kevin, a novice, Roman needed to guide him from the inception of his journey until he reached a certain level of expertise. In contrast, Chris possessed a different approach. Regardless of Roman's teachings, Chris tended to force himself into learning rather than embracing a genuine understanding. Slightly perplexed, Chris probed Roman about the possibility of continuing to observe. Roman, however, dismissed the idea by tossing a wooden sword towards Chris, indicating that tangible results were necessary for Chris to accept the truth. The wooden sword symbolized a challenge, a test of Chris's abilities. Curiosity etched on his face, Chris questioned the purpose of the wooden sword. Roman, ever the strategic mentor, explained that Chris needed to demonstrate concrete results to grasp the reality of his current skill level. The ensuing challenge was a spar, but not a conventional one. Roman proposed a face-off between Chris and Kevin with a twist. Roman would offer guidance to Kevin on how to defeat Chris. Essentially, Kevin would become a reflection of Roman's prowess. This proposition left both Kevin and Chris visibly surprised. Roman emphasized that even though Kevin was Chris's immediate opponent, Roman's advice would tip the scales, making Kevin a mirror image of Roman's combat style. Roman informs Chris that if following their current sparring session, Chris remains convinced of his correctness, Roman will take on the responsibility of personally teaching Chris. Chris becomes upset at the prospect of having to spar with this beginner. Undeterred, Chris reluctantly accepted the challenge, declaring his readiness to prove that he was not a mere pushover. The stage was set for a spar between Kevin and Chris, an unexpected match that would unravel the complexities of their respective learning journeys. As the two contenders faced each other, tension hung in the air. Kevin, the novice, voiced his concerns, seeking guidance from Roman about sparring with a two-star knight like Chris. Roman acknowledged Kevin's disadvantage, but seized the opportunity to impart a crucial life lesson. He drew parallels between those stronger than Kevin in the world, including the oppressive Blood Fang and Chris, who harbored eagerness to assert dominance over Kevin. In Roman's eyes, this spar was not merely a physical contest, but a reflection of life's challenges. Kevin, despite his disadvantages, had nothing to lose from defeat. Roman's wisdom extended beyond the training grounds, encompassing the harsh realities of the world they inhabited. When Roman questioned Kevin's passive approach, Kevin decided to take it seriously. He assured Roman that he was willing to give it a shot and prepared to face Chris with newfound determination. Witnessing Kevin's transformation, Chris felt annoyed to spar with what seemed like an inexperienced novice, puzzled by Kevin's unexpected confidence. As the match began under Roman's watchful eye, Chris charged at Kevin with full force. Despite Kevin's attempts to block Chris's attacks, he struggled to maintain control of his wooden sword. Chris swiftly changed the sword's direction, causing Kevin to lose his grip. In a surprising twist, Chris delivered a powerful knee strike to Kevin's stomach, sending him tumbling to the ground. As Kevin found himself sprawled on the ground, Roman's voice echoed in his mind, urging him to rise. Responding to the telepathic command, Kevin pushed himself up. The unexpected communication came with an explanation from Roman, introducing Kevin to the concept of sound conduction, a method of delivering instructions through mana. Intrigued and slightly bewildered, Kevin listened as Roman informed him that he would receive instructions through this unique technique. Kevin's surprise lingered as he realized that even communication through mana was within the realm of possibilities. Roman wasted no time and immediately put the method into action. "Throw yourself to the right," came Roman's first command. Focused and determined, Kevin swiftly moved to the right, narrowly dodging an incoming attack from Chris. The sudden agility surprised not only Chris, but also Kevin himself. Roman's telepathic guidance had proven effective, showcasing the potential of this unconventional training method. Encouraged by the success of the first maneuver, Roman directed Kevin to turn around and aim for Chris's left chest. Kevin followed the instruction meticulously, demonstrating a level of precision that caught Chris off guard. However, Chris, relying on his seasoned skills, managed to evade Kevin's strike with a deft move, leaving Kevin momentarily vulnerable. Seizing the opportunity, Chris retaliated with a swift kick aimed at Kevin's stomach. The impact sent a jolt through Kevin's body, but he managed to withstand the blow through sheer determination. Reflecting on the experience, Kevin acknowledged that while he had followed Roman's instructions accurately, the speed of his attack had left him susceptible to Chris's countermove. Undeterred, Roman guided Kevin to block an attack from above. Kevin, trusting in Roman's instructions, raised his wooden sword just in time to intercept Chris's downward swing. The successful defense showcased not only Kevin's growing skills, but also the effectiveness of Roman's telepathic training method. The next command came swiftly. Roman instructed Kevin to escape to the right. However, before Kevin could execute the maneuver, Chris seized the moment and landed a solid punch directly on Kevin's face. The force sent Kevin sprawling back to the ground, momentarily stunned by the unexpected blow. Chris, finding the situation amusing, acknowledged Kevin's resilience but maintained the belief that Kevin was no match for Roman. As the match continued, Kevin grappled with the realization that his body struggled to keep up with Roman's commands. Despite the setback, he marveled at the precision with which Chris moved in response to Roman's guidance. In Kevin's perspective, Chris seemed like a puppet being manipulated by Roman, each move a calculated step in a larger strategy. Roman, undeterred by the temporary setback, instructed Kevin to turn his body towards the right and charge forward to counterattack. Eager to prove himself, Kevin followed the command, aiming to catch Chris off guard. However, Chris, displaying his prowess, skillfully dodged Kevin's counterattack and swiftly responded with a powerful punch to Kevin's face. Chris, confident in his prowess, believed he was on the offensive, attempting to strike Kevin down. However, Kevin, seemingly one step ahead, continuously eluded critical moments and retaliated with counterattacks that took Chris by surprise. Chris began to question whether Kevin's strategic maneuvers were mere coincidences or a display of calculated skill. Observing Chris's struggle, Kevin, despite being considered Dimitry's greatest genius, saw a stark contrast between his abilities and the true skills possessed by young Master Roman. In Kevin's eyes, Roman's mastery surpassed that of any individual, making him a figure worthy of unwavering loyalty. Despite the logical inconsistency of pledging allegiance to someone in such a manner, Kevin felt compelled to follow Roman's guidance, seeing it as an absolute directive. Following Roman's telepathic instruction, Kevin charged at Chris with all his might. The intensity of their exchange pushed Kevin to the edge, physically and mentally. Acknowledging Kevin's fatigue, Chris, with a hint of concern, warned him that continuing could result in the deformation of one of his body parts. Instead of showing fear, Kevin surprised both Chris and Roman by smirking. In that moment, Kevin's confidence signaled a determination to face whatever physical consequences lay ahead, showcasing an unwavering resolve that intrigued and perplexed his opponents. Undeterred by Chris's warning, Kevin proposed continuing the spar until the end with a confident smile on his face. This unexpected turn of events caught Chris off guard, who, now facing a seemingly tireless opponent, charged at Kevin with heightened killer intent. The intensity of their clash escalated, and just as Chris was about to close in on Kevin, Roman intervened with a strategic twist. Following Roman's guidance, Kevin pressed forward unexpectedly. Chris, expecting Kevin to retreat, was taken aback by this change in tactic. Seizing the opportunity, Roman directed Kevin to turn around and charge again. Chris, sensing an opening in Kevin's attack, struck with the anticipation of Kevin's next move. To everyone's surprise, Kevin deftly dodged Chris's attack and countered with a powerful swing of his wooden sword. In an unexpected turn, Chris, displaying agility and quick thinking, ducked and unleashed a forceful counterattack that sent Kevin flying to the ground. The spar concluded, leaving both combatants with a newfound respect for each other's abilities. Roman, analyzing the entire sequence, concluded that Chris had strategically swung his sword with the anticipation of Kevin's ducking and correctly expected the second attack to be a feint. Back on the ground, Chris, still processing the intensity of the spar, was genuinely surprised by the challenge Kevin had posed. Roman, ever the insightful mentor, approached and acknowledged Chris as the winner. True to his promise, Roman offered to personally teach Chris starting from the next day. However, Roman left the decision in Chris' hands, emphasizing that he had the choice in this matter. In the quiet solitude of his room, Chris found himself reflecting on the recent spar with Kevin, questioning the motives behind engaging in a battle that seemed to offer him nothing to gain from a victory. As he replayed the scenarios in his mind, Chris couldn't help but recognize the time he had seemingly wasted and the near defeat he had narrowly avoided in the final maneuvers. The echoes of that challenging encounter brought to mind a similar situation he had experienced during a spar with Roman, a day etched into his memory through countless mental replays. The profound impact of that past experience with Roman became evident to Chris as he contemplated the recent spar with Kevin. He realized that without the insights gained from his encounters with Roman, overcoming Kevin without relying on aura would have presented a significant challenge. A smile crept onto Chris's face as he acknowledged the tangible growth resulting from that singular experience. The next day, as the practice resumed, Roman, ever perceptive, approached Chris, inquiring about his preferences moving forward. In response, Chris expressed a desire to navigate his journey towards strength independently. He assured Roman that he didn't need personal instruction and was determined to seek growth by following young Master Roman's lead. It was a testament to Chris's evolving mindset, acknowledging the value of learning and self-discovery. Reflecting on the spar with Kevin, Chris marveled at the precision of Kevin's decisions in every situation. Contrary to Chris's initial belief, he realized that Roman had indeed provided instructions to Kevin during their exchange. Chris's misconception gave way to a profound understanding that in attempting to decipher Roman's decisions, his mind had become a receptacle for invaluable teachings. Chris's newfound confidence emanated from this realization. that the young master, once perceived as a defeated figure, had evolved into a source of profound wisdom and strategic insight. Observing Roman with fresh eyes, Chris speculated about the remarkable transformation that had taken place, even surpassing the esteemed Captain Jonathan in prowess and understanding. The phrase "observe and learn" took on a deeper meaning for Chris. He interpreted it not as a mere directive, but as an invitation to enlighten himself while closely observing Roman's every move. With this revelation, Chris made a resolute commitment to continue observing and learning from Roman until he surpassed the current limits of his own abilities. As Chris dedicated himself to this newfound path, Roman, pleased with the young knight's dedication, instructed Kevin to continue with his training. The narrative pivots to the bustling market, where the air is charged with gossip about the shattered engagement between Roman Dimitry and Flora Lawrence. Rumors swirl that Flora's blunder during Viscount Lawrence's announcement played a pivotal role, as many speculate that the Viscount, protective of his cherished daughter, couldn't bear to see her linked to the perceived foolishness of Dimitry. The timing of the breakup, just on the brink of war with Barco, prompts some to suggest that Dimitri's eldest son is even more problematic than the circulating rumors imply. However, amid the speculations, a counter-narrative emerges, championing the idea that Roman himself vanquished the notorious Blood Fang. Yet the majority perceive this as a strategic move to salvage Roman's reputation in the aftermath of the broken engagement. Transitioning to the Barco's palace, the eldest Barco son grapples with disbelief over Roman's decision to sever ties with the Lawrence family. Anthony Barco, seeing Roman as pliable, contemplates the unfolding scenario. His trusted butler confirms Roman's participation in an upcoming party, substantiated by a letter from the Dimitrys. Anthony, confident in the success of his machinations, eagerly awaits the impending event, noting that his excitement for a party hasn't been this palpable in quite some time. The scene shifted, and a week later, the day of the social gathering hosted by the Barcos arrived, and the excitement permeated the air as we made our way to Roman's room. There, amidst an array of clothing choices, Roman turned to Hans, seeking guidance on his attire for the evening. In a burst of enthusiasm, Hans shared the significance of the event. It was Roman's first official gathering since his disengagement, a momentous occasion that demanded careful consideration in the wardrobe department. Hans, ever the fashion enthusiast, insisted that Roman couldn't just wear anything. He envisioned a look that would not only reflect Roman's stature, but also make a statement about his newfound freedom. As Roman mulled over the suggested outfit, Hans's excitement gave way to a subtle unease. He had poured his heart and soul into creating this dress, hoping to capture the essence of Roman's personality and the symbolism of the occasion. The hesitation in Roman's eyes sparked a flicker of sadness in Hans, as he feared his creation might not see the light of day. After a brief internal debate, Roman agreed to don the outfit, a decision that brought immense relief and joy to Hans. The scene transitioned outside, where a carriage awaited. Chris, standing by, grew visibly agitated as Kevin arrived fashionably late. Kevin, seemingly unfazed, attributed his tardiness to the struggle of donning armor. Chris, however, couldn't shake off the disbelief that lingered in his eyes. Despite Roman's assistance, Kevin had managed to outshine him, a fact that gnawed at Chris's competitive spirit. In a stern yet paternal tone, Chris emphasized the gravity of their roles as lieges, escorts, and representatives of the Dimitry house. He cautioned Kevin against impulsive decisions and urged him to be mindful of his words. The reputation of Dimitry, a powerhouse in the Northeast, rested on their shoulders. Chris, while acknowledging Kevin's capabilities, stressed the importance of measured actions and wise choices. Kevin, ever the eager learner, responded with excitement. He respectfully addressed Chris as Sir Knight, a gesture that brought a genuine smile to Chris's face. As the mentor-apprentice dynamic solidified, Chris reassured Kevin, encouraging him to seek guidance whenever uncertain. Grateful for the advice, Kevin expressed his thanks, ready to navigate the complexities of the evening under Chris's seasoned guidance. The narrative then shifted to the opulent Barco Palace, where the social elite had gathered. Amidst the clinking of glasses and the hum of conversation, guests discussed Roman's unexpected participation in the Barco party. They couldn't fathom why Roman, having broken off a political marriage he had fervently pushed for, would now be present at an event hosted by the very house he had seemingly rejected. Critics, quick to judge, labeled Roman a moron, questioning his decision-making abilities. The conversation pivoted to the intricate web of political relationships involving Dimitry and Barco. The Dimitry family's position, once clear-cut, now seemed ambiguous due to Roman's actions. While acknowledging the greediness inherent in maintaining ties with Barco, guests conceded that Roman's presence was an attempt to rectify his past mistakes. In the midst of a lively social gathering, a blonde girl found herself intrigued by the discussions surrounding a certain Roman Dimitry. Curiosity getting the better of her, she turned to the guy next to her, seeking insights into the enigmatic character everyone seemed to be talking about. The guy, perhaps not the biggest fan of Roman, responded with a touch of cynicism. He suggested that she would form her own opinion when she met him, but shared his own less than impressive view. According to him, Roman left a terrible impression, and his unremarkable appearance, particularly his small stature, did little to redeem him in the eyes of this observer. As the chatter continued, a butler's announcement cut through the conversation, declaring the arrival of the eldest son of the Dimitry family. The news sent a ripple of surprise through the gathering, leaving everyone anticipating the entrance of the talked-about Roman. The atmosphere brimmed with a mix of skepticism and curiosity. And then, like a burst of unexpected sunshine, Roman made his grand entrance. A dazzling smile adorned his face, and an air of confidence emanated from him, shocking the assembled guests. He defied their preconceived notions, appearing vastly different from the image they had painted in their minds. It was a moment of collective disbelief as Roman shattered the expectations, particularly regarding his height, and left everyone questioning their earlier assessments. The blonde girl, who had been inquiring about Roman, found herself drawn to him. Seizing the opportunity, she approached him directly. With a warm smile, Roman graciously acknowledged her presence. Sophia, introducing herself as a member of the Grizzle family, expressed that her family might not be well known, but her father, Baron Grizzle, dedicated his life to the kingdom of Cairo. Roman, still wearing that disarming smile, assured Sophia that he was well aware of the Grizzle family. This revelation touched Sophia deeply. She couldn't help but feel a connection, appreciating Roman's familiarity with her family's history. Roman, reflecting on this encounter, recognized the importance of understanding the legacies of the families he would encounter. In a flashback to the library scene, we saw Hans, Roman's confidant, providing him with detailed information on all the northeastern families. Hans, ever curious, questioned Roman's sudden interest in such specifics. Roman, with a sense of responsibility befitting his role as the representative of the Dimitry family, explained his rationale. He believed that equipping himself with knowledge about each person's background and legacy was essential. Roman understood that such efforts were crucial, especially given his less than flattering reputation as the Morin of Dimitry. Returning to the present, Roman continued his conversation with Sophia. He shared additional insights about her family's long-standing presence in the Northeast and highlighted the Grizzle family's renown for producing high-quality lumber in the Kingdom of Cairo. It was a subtle yet effective way of demonstrating Roman's awareness and respect for the various families and their contributions. Roman caught wind of Sophia's sibling achieving a significant feat in sensing mana, prompting him to congratulate Sophia on her family's success. The unexpected depth of Roman's knowledge about her family left Sophia pleasantly surprised. As they engaged in lively conversation, other nobles observed the exchange, captivated by the genuine and animated interaction between Roman and Sophia. Witnessing the scene unfold, additional nobles were drawn to Roman, eager to introduce themselves and partake in the conversation. The lively atmosphere surrounding Roman became a magnet, attracting the attention and curiosity of those in attendance. Roman, ever gracious, seamlessly transitioned between conversations, piquing the interest of those he engaged with. Amidst the social interactions, Roman found himself face-to-face with a noble who happened to be the eldest son of Volt. Expressing his disbelief at the chance encounter, Roman went on to commend Viscount Volt for his remarkable accomplishments in past battles. The eldest son of Volt, initially taken aback by Roman's familiarity with his family's history, expressed gratitude for Roman's kind words. Roman's ability to connect on a personal level and showcase awareness of each noble's background began to shape a positive perception of him within the gathering. However, the pleasant social atmosphere took an unexpected turn when a butler entered, delivering news that Lord Baron Anthony had requested Roman's presence in the back room. Sensing that this could be an opportunity to address a lingering issue, Roman contemplated the impending meeting with a mix of curiosity and determination. The scene then transitioned to the outside, where the escorts and knights of nobles awaited developments. In a parallel storyline, Kevin, one of the escorts, sought clarification from Chris, the senior knight, about the nature of a social party. Chris, perhaps jaded by their societal standing, dismissed the idea of them ever attending such an event and advised against taking an interest in it. This exchange caught the attention of two knights who had overheard the conversation and considered Chris and Kevin as inconsequential. Rumors surrounding Roman's status as the abandoned eldest son circulated, and the knights couldn't fathom why Roman would bring an inexperienced escort like Kevin, someone seemingly incapable of wielding a sword properly. Despite Chris's counsel to ignore the disparaging comments, the knights persisted in taunting them. They asserted that the Dimitry family paled in comparison to the influence of the Barkos. In response, Kevin, wearing a serious expression, advanced towards the taunting knights, prepared to confront the disrespect they were hurling their way. The scene seamlessly shifts back to the lively party, where Roman makes his way into a discreet back room to meet with Anthony Barko. Anthony's expression lights up with happiness and surprise upon seeing Roman, prompting a natural curiosity about the changes that had taken place in Roman's life during their time apart. As Roman settles into the conversation, he inwardly notes that Anthony is the person who has been causing him distress. Taking a seat across from each other, Anthony initiates the dialogue, expressing both joy and skepticism at the notable transformation he observes in Roman. There's an air of curiosity around Anthony as he wonders aloud about the events that transpired in Roman's life during the period they hadn't crossed paths. In the dimly lit room adorned with lingering traces of prior occupants, Roman keenly observes the glasses on the table. The fact that Anthony cleared the room for Roman's arrival suggests a confidential conversation lies ahead. Eager to create an atmosphere of comfort, Roman responds candidly. He confesses uncertainty about the changes within himself, acknowledging a time when he used to spend extravagantly to engineer a new identity. However, now, transformation seems to occur organically, without conscious effort. Despite the uncertainty, Roman expresses genuine pleasure at the prospect of reuniting with Anthony. As the conversation unfolds, Anthony tells Roman that he thinks Roman could interpret it positively because, honestly, Anthony didn't know what Roman was thinking at that time. Roman then asks Anthony what he means. He recounts a time when Roman, entangled in a political marriage with the Lawrence family and enjoying amicable relations with the Barkos, was discovered in a compromising situation with Anthony's cousin in a back room during a social gathering. Anthony expresses astonishment and concern, questioning Roman's judgment, particularly with his impending marriage hanging in the balance. This revelation adds layers to the narrative. In the present moment, Anthony interprets Roman's participation in the current party as a form of confirmation regarding a proposal Anthony had in mind. He assures Roman that the indiscretion in the back room will remain shrouded in secrecy, emphasizing the need to move forward and discuss Roman's impending marriage to the Barko family. As Anthony lays out his intentions, Roman's mind becomes a canvas, painting vivid memories of the old Roman who, at one point, felt betrayed by Anthony Barko and sought a political alliance with the Lawrence family. As the narrative unfolds, the older version of Roman realizes that he can't continue evading the repercussions of his past actions. Viewing the upcoming gathering as an opportunity to mend broken relationships, he decides to confront Anthony Barko, the individual who has been a source of frustration. At the latest party, Anthony warmly introduces Roman to his cousin, Emily Barko. In an attempt to ease Roman into the social setting, Anthony encourages him to join them for a drink. Being Roman's first time at such an event, Anthony wants to ensure he feels welcome. As they settle down and begin to drink, Emily, in a gesture of hospitality, tries to pour a drink for Roman. However, displaying a sense of independence, Roman stops her, insisting on pouring his own drink. Anthony teases Roman about potentially showing off, alluding to Roman's upcoming marriage to Flora Lawrence. This revelation unsettles Roman, but Anthony quickly reassures him that the Barko family no longer holds any concern for the Lawrence family, alleviating some of Roman's unease. Anthony, adopting a carefree attitude, urges Roman to cast aside his worries and enjoy the evening. However, as the night progresses, Roman wakes up in bed with Emily, utterly bewildered as he lacks any recollection of the events leading up to that moment. To complicate matters further, Anthony walks in and is immediately incensed upon discovering Roman with his cousin. Anthony steers Roman to a seat and addresses him sternly, stating that he doesn't care about Roman's romantic entanglements. Still, laying hands on a member of the Barko family is deemed unacceptable. In a decisive moment, Anthony presents Roman with two options. The first involves exposing the truth about the night's events, leading to Roman's unilateral disengagement. The second, more unexpected choice requires Roman to marry a direct descendant of the Barko family to repair the fractured relationship between the Dimitry and Barko families. The shock of this ultimatum leaves Roman speechless, and Anthony, with a subtle smirk, conveys his anger at Roman's actions while offering forgiveness if Roman embraces the Barko family fully. The weight of this decision now rests heavily on Roman's shoulders. Fast forward to the present, where the current version of Roman, having experienced the passage of time, gains a fuller understanding of the events that unfolded with his older self. The puzzle pieces fall into place as he comprehends the consequences of past actions. The impending disintegration of the marriage due to Roman's indiscretions with a collateral descendant of the Barco family has severe implications. The honor of the Dimitry family faces a precipitous decline, casting a long shadow over Roman's realization of the gravity of his past choices. Meanwhile, the old Roman, likely overwhelmed by the prospect of facing his father's wrath, stood at a crossroads. Torn between duty and love, he grappled with a decision that would shake the course of his life. Old Roman's heart was tethered to Flora, a love that seemed to transcend the boundaries of social expectations. Yet the patriarchal expectations of his time loomed heavily over him, stifling the confidence needed to confront his father. Faced with an impossible choice, old Roman couldn't bring himself to break off the marriage he had forcibly established. The fear of defaming Flora in the process became an insurmountable obstacle. Trapped in a cycle of despair, old Roman saw only one way out. The weight of societal norms, coupled with his own internal turmoil, pushed him to the brink of desperation. In a tragic turn of events, he chose to end his life, hoping that his death would untangle the complicated web he found himself in. It was a decision born out of a desire for resolution, a belief that his sacrifice could somehow make everything right. However, the legacy of old Roman's choices cast a long shadow. In the eyes of the current Roman, he saw not a tragic figure, but a weak man who had accomplished nothing on his own strength. To the current Roman, this was a pathetic tale of a man who succumbed to the pressures of society. Amidst this internal conflict, Anthony Barco emerged as a pivotal figure. He approached Roman, highlighting the significance of a union between the Dimitrys and the Barcos. Anthony painted a picture of political upheaval in the northeastern region, with Roman positioned to wield absolute power. It was a proposal that could alter the course of history, yet Roman found himself unable to accept it. Roman, bound by his principles, refused the political marriage proposal. To him, the idea of leveraging such a union for personal gain was unacceptable. Anthony, however, had a different perspective. He warned Roman that rejecting the proposal would lead to the exposure of a hidden truth, a secret that could tarnish the Dimitry family's reputation irreparably. Undeterred by this threat, Roman stood firm. He dismissed the idea that the Dimitry family needed to accept the Barco family's proposal for the sake of avoiding scandal. Later, at a social gathering, Roman found himself caught in the delicate dance of social obligations and personal convictions. Explaining to Sophia that he had an urgent matter to attend to, he regretfully announced his early departure. Despite Sophia's disappointment, Roman assured her that they would meet again when the opportune moment presented itself. As Roman made his exit, the atmosphere shifted abruptly. A sudden commotion pierced the air, drawing Roman's attention. Shock washed over him as he witnessed Barco knights attacking Kevin. In the midst of the medieval drama, the narrative takes a step back to a critical moment that unfolded a few hours earlier. Kevin, catching wind of the Barco knights, felt a surge of indignation and resolved to confront them. However, Chris, his level-headed companion, intervened, urging Kevin to endure the provocation. The tension escalated as two Barco knights, embodying the epitome of arrogance, approached the duo, ridiculing Kevin for his comically ill-fitting helmet. Chris, never one to shy away from a verbal skirmish, retorted with a cutting remark. He questioned whether the knights of Barco honed their skills in mockery rather than the art of the sword. Unfazed, one of the Barco knights boasted about his superior swordsmanship compared to Kevin and took the opportunity to disparage their liege as a moron. The verbal duel reached its climax as Kevin, fiercely protective of his liege, young Master Roman, demanded a retraction of the disrespectful remarks. In a swift turn of events, the Barco knight responded not with words, but with a resounding punch to Kevin's face. Shocked but undeterred, Chris instinctively moved to draw his sword. However, a moment of realization halted him in his tracks. The Dimitry family, to which Chris and Kevin belonged, was currently entangled in a delicate conflict of interest with the Barco family. Chris hesitated, recognizing that his actions could precipitate consequences not only for young Master Roman, but for the entire Dimitry lineage. As Kevin rose from the unexpected blow, he declared himself as his liege knight, expressing disdain for dealing with Barco thugs masquerading as knights. The Barco knight, reveling in his perceived triumph, prepared for another punch. Yet just before the blow could land, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. Young Master Roman himself emerged from the shadows, intervening in a manner that left everyone dumbfounded. In an unprecedented move, Roman, typically reserved and composed, delivered a series of stinging slaps to the Barco Knight's face. The Barco Knight, unable to comprehend the abrupt turn of events, found himself on the receiving end of a humiliating display. Roman's repeated slaps left an indelible mark, both physically and symbolically, asserting his dominance and commanding the knight to raise his head with a menacing glare. The scene, akin to a theatrical crescendo, pivoted from the confrontation to Anthony Barco, the eldest son of the Barco family. His disbelief mirrored that of the readers as he grappled with the unexpected twist involving his kin and young Master Roman. The narrative then transported the audience back to the genesis of this conflict, a few hours earlier, when Anthony had confronted Roman. In a bold proposition, Anthony insisted that Roman take responsibility for allegedly laying hands on a lady of the Barco family. The proposed resolution? Marriage to a direct descendant of the Barco lineage. However, Roman staunchly refuses, wearing a self-assured smirk. He dismisses the potential fallout, claiming that being called a moron is nothing new, especially when he's already subjected to mistreatment. In a surprising twist, Roman challenges Anthony to conduct himself appropriately, emphasizing that Roman has chosen to terminate the proposed marriage on his terms, unaffected by Anthony's threats. Roman subtly hints at the Dimitry family's estrangement from the Lawrence family, suggesting that Anthony's desires have already been fulfilled in some measure. With a serious expression, Roman confronts Anthony, questioning whether he would go to the lengths of manipulating the Lawrence family merely to settle a personal vendetta against him, the eldest son of the Barcos. Anthony, taken aback by Roman's unexpected revelation, is left grappling with the implications of this newfound information. Roman, revealing a depth of strategic thinking, discloses that he has thoroughly researched the Barco family. While acknowledging their influential connections with the central government, Roman underscores that the Barcos' power hinges solely on those affiliations. In a subtle power play, Roman asserts that, when considering wealth and influence, the true powerhouse in the Northeast is the Dimitry family, not the Barcos. With these revelations hanging in the air, Roman leaves Anthony to ponder the next course of action. Anthony informs Roman that once this issue is settled, Roman won't involve himself in the Lawrence family matters. Roman acknowledges this, and Anthony concludes by saying that this conversation is now finished. The sudden shift in Roman's demeanor, marked by a change not only in his facial expressions, but also in his actions, gaze, and tone, leaves Anthony bewildered and uncertain about how to proceed. As the tension thickens, a butler interrupts the contemplative atmosphere with urgent news. Roman and a Barco knight are engaged in a heated altercation. Outside, nobles gather to witness the unexpected spectacle. Roman, displaying a relentless resolve, continues to slap the Barco knight repeatedly. The knight, now desperate for reprieve, pleads for forgiveness and promises to refrain from repeating the offense. Kevin and Chris, familiar with Roman's fiery temperament, attempt to intervene, urging him to cease the punishment. However, Roman, unwavering, insists that he alone will determine when the Barco knight has faced adequate consequences for his actions. As the confrontation unfolds, Roman remains unyielding in his resolve, expressing a stark philosophy that if the Barco knight faces dire consequences for his words and actions, it's a price he must pay. Anthony Barco intervenes, insisting that Roman, despite his status as the eldest son of the Dimitry family, cannot engage in such behavior. Anthony demands an immediate apology from Roman for his actions. Roman challenges the necessity of an apology, pointing out that the Barco knight not only slandered him, but also laid hands on a member of the Dimitry family. He questions whether Anthony still believes Roman is the one at fault. Anthony, recognizing Roman's crossing of a line, recalls Roman's earlier warning about personal grudges affecting their family's relationship. In response, Roman shifts the responsibility back to Anthony, asserting that Anthony should be the one exercising restraint. Moving in close, Roman, with impatience in his tone, prompts Anthony to make a decision. Anthony, recollecting Roman's involvement in the conflict with Lawrence, reluctantly agrees that Roman is justified in his actions. He admits that he too would have meted out a similar punishment to the Barco knight. Roman smirks at the acknowledgement, commenting on their seemingly compatible understanding. He proceeds to deliver a lesson to the Barco knight. Afterward, Roman moves to the side to clean the blood off his hand. He then instructs Kevin and Chris to return to their carriage. Everyone present has no option but to accept the undeniable truth that the foolish Roman Dimitry they once knew no longer exists. Hi everyone, the artist for this manhwa made some changes in the art, so now the characters might look different. You might notice differences in their hair color and faces compared to before. So now let's get back to the recap. In the quiet confines of the carriage, A palpable sense of disappointment lingered as Kevin and Chris found themselves immersed in the aftermath of a tumultuous encounter. Kevin, with a remorseful expression, took the first step towards reconciliation. He offered a sincere apology to Roman for the actions that had led to the insult directed at him. Chris, too, recognized the need to address the rift that had developed during the tumultuous events. He apologized to Roman, admitting that he had failed to act when Dimitry's name was being dragged through the mud and Kevin faced physical aggression. Roman listened, his gaze steady, absorbing the sincerity in Chris's words. Amidst these apologies, Roman, with a measured tone, assured both Kevin and Chris that he understood the difficulty they must have faced in enduring such a situation. Gratitude marked his words as he thanked them for weathering the storm until his arrival. The unexpected acknowledgement left both Kevin and Chris surprised, a newfound understanding dawning upon them. However, Roman's expression shifted, adopting a serious countenance. He spoke of the perils of rashness, emphasizing that chaos often accompanied impulsive actions, while he recognized that Kevin and Chris's decisions had averted a potential catastrophe. He made it clear that it wasn't the ideal outcome he had sought. In a moment of guidance, Roman conveyed a powerful message. He asserted that within the vast expanse of the northeast of Cairo, none should dare lay a hand on the Dimitry family. Even if faced with humiliation, Roman instructed Kevin and Chris to etch the faces of those responsible into their memories and to let their resentment burn brightly, never to be extinguished. The gravity of Roman's words lingered as he revealed his aversion to seeing anyone hold power over him. With unwavering determination, he urged Kevin and Chris to embrace his ways and follow his lead in crafting a life where they stood above all. The carriage became a vessel for the profound weight of Roman's expectations, and the trio now stood at a crossroads, their destinies intertwined. As the scene transitioned, the setting shifted to the grandeur of the Dimitry Palace. A butler, with utmost respect, presented Roman with information about the Barco family. This valuable intelligence had been procured from the esteemed Black Moon Information Guild. The recent movements of the Barco family had raised eyebrows, and Roman was eager to unravel the mystery. The document revealed that the Barco family had settled in the northeast over a century ago, coinciding with their ascent to power. Intriguingly, it was during this period that a member of the Barco family had entered the central government, marking a pivotal moment in their history. Roman meticulously examined the details, noting that the military strength of the Barco family did not align with their perceived status. Hans, a trusted confidant, expressed surprise at the apparent mismatch between the Barco family's status and their military capabilities. Roman, with a hint of contemplation, attributed this incongruity to the overwhelming power wielded by the central government. In the sprawling expanse of the Salamander continent, two mighty empires held sway, and within this geopolitical tapestry, the Kingdom of Cairo emerged as a diminutive and feeble entity. The key to Cairo's vulnerability lay in its geographical positioning, surrounded by other kingdoms, bereft of natural defenses like mountains. Over the ages, this exposed the kingdom to a series of invasions from external forces, rendering it weak and beleaguered. The survival strategy adopted by Cairo was one of pragmatic necessity, aligning with the central government. This alliance, while a lifeline for Cairo, inadvertently bolstered the strength of the central government. The mechanics of this alliance were intricate, with the central government wielding absolute authority over conscription. In the face of conscription, noble families in Cairo faced a stark ultimatum. Rejecting conscription branded them as insurgents, triggering immediate dispatches of soldiers to quell any resistance. Post-subjugation, the kingdom seized the insurgents' lands, considering them as possessions of the crown. The neighboring lords who assisted in this suppression were rewarded with a share of the confiscated land. The remaining portions were then bestowed upon new aristocrats, steadfastly loyal to the central government. This intricate dance of power and influence was the source of the Barcos' intangible strength. Their close ties and collaboration with the central government secured their position in the complex political web. This system not only granted the Barcos a level of influence, but also served as a means for them to navigate the delicate dynamics of power within the Salamander continent. Hans, a trusted confidant, found himself taken aback by the depth of this political intricacy. The revelation exceeded his expectations, and he grappled with the implications of such a system. Roman explained that this arrangement was not merely about military strength but extended to economic maneuvering as well. The Barcos' financial acumen was exemplified by their ability to secure a considerable loan from the Gold Bank. Roman suspected that the Barcos had obtained this loan not by offering specific collateral but through a credit guarantee, showcasing their shrewd financial maneuvering. The borrowed funds were strategically invested in the establishment of the Barge Mercenary Company. This mercenary group, led by the formidable A-rank mercenary Burge, comprised 100 skilled fighters. Their primary source of income lay in participating in battles between territories. Roman revealed that the Barkos' financial ventures, coupled with their military might, were part of a larger strategy, positioning them as formidable players in the ever-shifting landscape of power struggles. As the discussion unfolded, Hans brought to Roman's attention the recent conscription efforts by the Barkos. Moreover, there were ominous signs pointing towards an imminent attack on Lawrence within half a month. Roman, a seasoned strategist, processed this information, realizing that the Barkos had concluded their preparations for war. Contemplating the impending conflict, Roman foresaw challenging odds in a war against Lawrence. Even in the event of a siege, he estimated that Lawrence would be able to withstand the assault for no more than a month. In the recesses of Roman's thoughts, a promise lingered, one made to Anthony Barco that he would refrain from meddling in Lawrence's affairs. However, the stakes had shifted. For Roman Dimitry to persist, he couldn't afford to turn a blind eye to the looming threat the Barkos now posed. They had not only targeted Roman but, in doing so, had ignited a conflict that demanded his attention. Roman, the patriarch of the Dimitry family, acknowledged the inadequacy of the Barkos' forces against the might of Dimitry. While it might seem a straightforward task to overpower them using the Dimitry family's formidable strength, Roman deemed such an action devoid of purpose. Beyond the shared origin of the Dimitrys and the Barkos, the nobility in the northeast considered Roman Dimitry as a negligible threat. To Roman, the crucial need of the hour was an opportunity to ascend to a higher echelon, reminiscent of past triumphs. Turning to Hans, Roman expressed his desire to meet with his father. It was time to cash in on the promises made to him during prior dealings. The intricate dance of politics and power in the Salamander continent demanded strategic moves, and Roman sought to navigate these currents with a calculated finesse. The narrative then shifted to the lively marketplace, a stark contrast to the weighty discussions in the corridors of power. Amidst the bustling activity, a figure caught the attention of onlookers. Lucas, a B-rank mercenary, strode through the market with armor stained by the recent battle. This seemingly inconspicuous soldier held his own tales of the front lines, and the people observed him with a mix of awe and curiosity. Lucas sought refuge at an armor shop, his armor telling the story of the perilous encounter he had faced. The shop owner, astute and discerning, engaged Lucas in conversation, inquiring about the intensity of the battle. Lucas, in his candid manner, recounted a near-death experience attributed to the recklessness of his companions. The shop owner, examining the battered state of Lucas's armor, couldn't help but comment on its poor quality. Intrigued, the shop owner probed further, asking where Lucas had acquired his gear. Lucas, revealing a past misjudgment, explained that he had tried another store once and paid the price with a brush with death. The shop owner, recognizing an opportunity to impart wisdom, extolled the superiority of the Dimitry's ironwork and equipment production. In doing so, he advised Lucas against straying to other establishments in pursuit of armor and weaponry. Lucas, appreciative of the advice, admitted that it was precisely why he had sought out this particular shop. The shop owner, acknowledging the need for repair, assured Lucas that he would craft a full set for him, although it would take some time. Unfazed by the wait, Lucas shared his intention to recuperate in Dimitry for a while, expressing weariness with the relentless demands of the battlefield. As Lucas emerged from the armor shop, he was met with a spectacle. A crowd congregated around a notice board. The curiosity in the air was palpable, and Lucas couldn't help but be drawn to the gathering. Lucas sauntered over to investigate. Pinned to the board was a recruitment notice seeking private soldiers, a common occurrence in a world marked by shifting allegiances and power dynamics. The requisites were simple: good health, a desire for personal growth, and a select 30 recruits would be chosen. The offered wage stood at 8 silver coins per month, a sum that, upon quick mental calculation, seemed reasonable given the potential risks involved. As Lucas contemplated the opportunity, his experienced mind factored in the average cost of living for a family of 4, roughly estimated at 5 silvers. Despite the apparent hazards, the monthly wage offered by this recruitment appeared enticing. Yet a crucial condition caught Lucas's attention. The recruits would exclusively belong to Roman Dimitry, a nuance that demanded undivided loyalty to Roman, not the broader Dimitry family. The elderly man beside Lucas advises him against applying, mentioning that numerous others have likely already done so. In response, Lucas explains that despite his appearance, he's a B-rank mercenary and demands a minimum of 50 silvers monthly to consider pledging loyalty. Surprisingly, Lucas realizes that many people have already submitted applications. Perplexed, he questions the old man about the true worth of the opportunity. The old man, in turn, asks Lucas to clarify. Lucas expresses doubt, acknowledging favorable conditions but questioning whether serving under Roman Dimitry, whom he views as foolish, is truly worthwhile. This candid remark drew disbelieving glances from those within earshot. To Lucas's surprise, the old man refuted his characterization of Roman. The old man enlightened Lucas, explaining that Lord Roman had undergone a transformative journey. No longer the fool he was once perceived to be, Roman had achieved remarkable feats, including defeating the notorious Blood Fang. More significantly, Roman had demonstrated a genuine care for his people, reshaping his public image. Lucas, grappling with this unexpected revelation, probed further, questioning the credibility of the newfound information. The old man's response was anchored in the testimony of someone named Clark, a figure who seemed to carry weight in shaping public opinion about Lord Roman. Eager to learn more, Lucas pressed the old man for details about Clark. The old man revealed that Clark's son, Kevin, had become a subordinate to Lord Roman. In a heartening twist of fate, this allegiance had transformed the Clark family's life, lifting them out of poverty. It was a tangible example of the positive impact Roman had on the lives of those who aligned with him. As the old man shared this anecdote, the scene transitioned to the emergence of Kevin from a nearby bakery. In the grand halls of the Dimitry Palace, a surprising directive came from Roman to Kevin, disrupting the usual routine. Roman urged Kevin to take a break, a notion that initially left Kevin bewildered. However, Roman elaborated, suggesting a 3-day leave starting the following day. To Roman, this period of rest was more than just a hiatus. It was an extension of the training Kevin had diligently undertaken. Acknowledging Kevin's relentless efforts, Roman emphasized the importance of spending quality time with family. Expressing gratitude, Kevin retreated to his room, reflecting on the peculiar sensation of stepping away from the demanding daily grind. It had been a long while since Kevin had seen his family. The castle had become a second home, but the ties that bound him to his kin remained strong. In this moment of contemplation, Hans, a confidant and aide, reached out to Kevin. Practical and considerate, Hans questioned Kevin's intent to reunite with his family in his current state. Sensing the need for a more presentable appearance, Hans revealed that Lord Roman had arranged clean clothes for Kevin. To sweeten the reunion, Hans handed Kevin some money, advising him to buy gifts for his family. Furthermore, Hans shared the news that Kevin would now receive a monthly allowance of 30 silvers, granting him a newfound financial freedom. In the bustling marketplace, Kevin put this financial freedom to good use, purchasing thoughtful gifts for his family. The clothes provided by Lord Roman amazed him with their softness, a stark contrast to the armor-clad life he had become accustomed to. As he bought fresh bread, Kevin couldn't help but think of his sister Mary's peculiar cravings. Mary, with her lifelong wish to enjoy whipped cream on freshly baked bread, had been a source of amusement in the family. Kevin remembered her daily complaints about the monotony of having bread every day. These memories contrasted sharply with darker times when the menacing Blood Fang members would visit their house, demanding money. Kevin, now under the guidance of young Master Roman, resolved to become stronger and protect his family from such threats. Arriving home with a bundle of gifts, Kevin was greeted by a sight that left him in awe. His family, once weathered by hardships, now reveled in a happiness that took Kevin by surprise. As his sister and parents welcomed him with genuine joy, Kevin's mother enveloped him in a warm hug. The reunion was a testament to the transformative power of time and the positive changes that had unfolded. Overwhelmed by the warmth of his family, Kevin couldn't help but inquire about the house. Kevin's world took a sudden and unexpected turn when his parents revealed the astonishing generosity bestowed upon them by none other than Sir Hans, acting on the will of Lord Roman. Their family, which had known its fair share of struggles, was now the recipient of a house and land, gifts from a noble lord that left them bewildered. The castle's residents, recognizing the arrival of Kevin's family, extended a helping hand to ease their settling-in process. Overwhelmed by the unexpected support, Kevin couldn't contain his emotions and found himself shedding tears, contemplating the depth of Lord Roman's impact on his family's life. The tender moment shifted as Kevin's father noticed a bruise on his son's cheek, prompting concern and questions. A suspicion arose that perhaps Lord Roman had played a role in this injury. Quick to defend his lord, Kevin clarified that there was no mistreatment involved, yet the worry etched on Kevin's mother's face persisted, leading her to implore Kevin to share the truth. She expressed a readiness to uproot the family if it meant escaping mistreatment. However, Kevin, unwavering in his belief in Lord Roman's character, reassured them that their fears were unfounded. As Kevin began recounting the events, the scene transitioned to a local restaurant where his father, bursting with pride and excitement, shared the extraordinary turn of events with friends. Lord Roman, contrary to their expectations, had provided them with a house and land upon Kevin's recruitment as a knight. The revelation took an even more unexpected turn when Kevin's father disclosed that Lord Roman had intervened physically, slapping a Barco knight to protect his own subordinate, a revelation that left his father's friends incredulous. The news spread like wildfire through the town, challenging the prevailing perception of Lord Roman as the moron of Dimitry. The townsfolk found it hard to believe that a noble would go to such great lengths for a subordinate. The shift in perspective was seismic. Lord Roman, once dismissed as an idiot, was now seen as a caring and protective leader. The narrative suggested that gaining Roman's trust could pave the way for an entirely different life, a notion that started to reshape the town's collective opinion. The transformation extended to the notice board, where an old man explained to Lucas the surge in applicants for the private soldier recruitment. Lucas, struggling to reconcile this new image of Roman with the one he knew, found it difficult to believe that Roman had subjugated the Blood Fang and handled the social party incident. It contradicted the Roman he had witnessed causing a commotion in a casino just 2 years prior. Lucas found himself consumed by curiosity, pondering the enigma that was Roman over the past 2 years. The prospect of unraveling the mystery surrounding Roman stirred excitement within Lucas, compelling him to seek confirmation firsthand. Shifting to the Dimitry Palace, Viscount Dimitry, Roman's father, received an update from Jonathan on the preparations for an upcoming trial. The process was proceeding smoothly, and Lord Roman would take charge of the overall proceedings. However, Viscount Dimitry's curiosity about the timeline prompted him to question Jonathan on how much time had elapsed. Jonathan, with a note of caution, warned the Viscount that this was his last chance to reconsider the path they were treading. He expressed concerns about the potential dangers of developing private soldiers exclusively for one individual. Viscount Dimitry then shared a pivotal moment when he first learned that Roman would participate in Barco's social party. His initial fear was that Roman might align with the Barcos to remove Dimitri's second-born from the line of succession. To his surprise, Roman defied expectations, publicly slapping a Barco knight in front of numerous nobles. Even when Anthony, a potential ally, could have joined forces with Viscount Dimitri's second-born to undermine Roman's succession, Roman chose to assert his independence. Roman's actions signaled a departure from the perception that had plagued him for over a decade. Once deemed a moron, Roman had reshaped his life since the Blood Fang incident, living according to his own terms. Viscount Dimitry, Roman's father, expressed a genuine desire to support his son's newfound path. Acknowledging the Viscount's sentiments, Jonathan understood the complexity of the situation. Viscount Dimitry then delved into practical concerns, questioning Jonathan about the number of applicants for the upcoming trial. Given Roman's unconventional reputation, the Viscount hoped for a modest number. Anything above 50 would have been a relief. To his astonishment, Jonathan dropped a bombshell. Over 500 individuals had applied. The magnitude of the response left Viscount Dimitry in shock, as the unexpected surge in applicants hinted at a significant shift in Roman's standing within the community. The sheer number of people eager to participate in the trial underscored the resonance of Roman's newfound reputation and the anticipation surrounding the event. The narrative transitioned to the next day, where all the applicants gathered at the palace, marking the commencement of the trial. Chris, a key figure, approached Roman, delivering the news that the trial preparations had been completed. The scene unfolded on the eve of the trial, in a quaint inn where Lucas found solace in the embrace of his drink. The room buzzed with pre-trial anticipation, an atmosphere Lucas had not expected. The gathering of applicants exceeded his imagination, and the lively hubbub echoed the aspirations of those seeking a chance in the impending trial. At a corner table, 3 raucous individuals caught Lucas's attention. Their copper IDs, proudly hanging from their belts, marked them as C-rank mercenaries. Meanwhile, at the bar, another trio exhibited an air of battle-hardened experience, though lacking the visible insignia of mercenaries. Lucas mused about the mysteries surrounding these characters and the unspoken tales etched into their expressions. Dimitry boasted several inns, and Lucas pondered the significance of his chosen abode amidst the plethora of options. In this modest town, home to only a handful of decent people, the concentration of skilled applicants surpassed Lucas's expectations. The inn's patrons seemed cut from different cloths, each with a unique story and purpose for being there. Frustration gripped Lucas as he struggled to comprehend the convergence of seasoned warriors with the likes of him, driven by curiosity rather than necessity. His mug slammed onto the table, a manifestation of his perplexity and the weight of the unknown that hung in the air. Contemplating an early exit, Lucas found his attention unexpectedly hijacked by a conversation unfolding nearby. A man inquired of his companion Henderson about the reason for his presence. Henderson revealed his initial intention to enlist in the soldiers of the Lawrence family, his hometown's noble lineage. However, the trajectory of Henderson's fate shifted after witnessing Roman Dimitry's ruthless dismantling of the Blood Fang in Lawrence. The mere mention of Roman's name changed the atmosphere. Henderson's narrative unfolded with vivid imagery. The plaza, Roman covered in blood, dragging the Blood Fang leader by his hair. The recounting of this scene was a turning point, a visceral testament to the lengths Roman went to for justice. Lawrence, embroiled in skepticism and denial, doubted the reality of the incident. But for Henderson, there was no room for doubt. He had stood in the plaza, witnessed the indomitable strength of Roman Dimitry, and felt the shivers coursing through his spine. It was a moment etched in his memory, an undeniable truth that defied the rumors portraying Roman as a mere weakling. In the bustling inn, Henderson's impassioned proclamation echoed through the air, fueled by the influence of alcohol. He fervently asserted that Roman Dimitry was more than a leader. He was a true champion fighting for the welfare of his people. The recruitment for private soldiers, Henderson believed, was an unparalleled opportunity to become a loyal subordinate to Roman. As the eyes of the inn's patrons turned towards him, Henderson boldly declared his intent to pass the impending trial, secure permanent residence in Dimitry, and pledge allegiance to Roman, willing to lay down his life for him. This revelation left Lucas stunned, prompting him to reconsider the seemingly coincidental gathering of applicants. The dawn of the trial arrived, casting a wave of anticipation over the crowd. Lucas, reflecting on Henderson's words from the night before, grappled with a pivotal decision. If Roman Dimitry was indeed the leader described by Henderson, Lucas pondered the choices before him. He sensed a collective unease among the applicants, each facing their own internal dilemmas after hearing the rumors. Lucas anticipated that the moment of truth would unfold when they witnessed Roman's actions during the trial. As the tension reached its peak, Roman Dimitry made a grand entrance, commanding the attention of everyone present. Lucas observed in awe as an unspoken command compelled the crowd to lower their heads and make way for Roman. It became evident to Lucas that the rumors surrounding Roman were not mere exaggerations. There was an undeniable aura of authority surrounding the young leader. Roman ascended the stage, and a collective gasp swept through the crowd. Breaking the silence, he instructed the applicants to raise their heads. The unexpected presence of Roman left everyone in suspense, eager to hear his address. With the crowd's attention firmly in his grasp, Roman disclosed his plans. Contrary to expectations, he revealed that he had no intention of leading a secluded life in a remote territory. The revelation surprised the onlookers, who had anticipated a different path for the noble leader. Roman continued, articulating his relentless pursuit of a higher position and the inevitability of battles where lives hung in the balance. The gravity of his words hung in the air, challenging those who aspired to follow him to reconsider their commitment. Roman extended a warning to those without unwavering resolve, offering them a chance to turn back before the trials began. He emphasized that the path he treaded was one of constant struggle and that following him required more than a passing curiosity or superficial dedication. Roman's declaration underscored the profound risks and challenges that awaited those who chose to stand alongside him. In closing, Roman made it clear that, in the face of potential casualties, resentment should not be directed towards him. The idea that the only regret anyone might harbor would be missing the chance to witness Roman standing as the most powerful on the continent by his side was met with disbelief. The gravity of Roman's ambition unsettled the gathered crowd, and for Lucas, it was a moment of incredulity. How could Roman, whose position within his own family was in question, aspire to such heights? To Lucas, it seemed like an unwarranted display of arrogance, yet there lingered a peculiar sense that Roman might possess the ability to turn this audacious dream into reality. Amidst the murmurs of confusion, Chris stepped forward, seizing control of the situation. He took it upon himself to lay out the instructions for the first trial, injecting a sense of urgency into the atmosphere. The trial, as he explained, was deceptively simple. An archer stationed nearby would unleash 3 arrows upon an applicant standing at a designated location. The arrows could either graze the individual, embed themselves in the plate behind, or, in the most extreme scenario, strike the applicant directly, potentially causing fatal harm. The catch? Only those who remained motionless throughout the barrage of arrows would pass the trial. The announcement left everyone in the room in stunned silence. The audacity of such a trial raised eyebrows and fueled skepticism. Chris, undeterred by the collective disbelief, proceeded with the first trial, calling forward the applicants in the order of their names. As the first brave soul stepped onto the designated spot, a ripple of uncertainty spread through the onlookers. Among them, a skeptic pondered the implausibility of aiming potentially lethal arrows at private soldier applicants. The logical reasoning dictated that subjecting participants to life-threatening trials seemed far-fetched. After all, the archer must be highly skilled, and the notion of a mistake was dismissed as absurd. The archer's first shot, calculated and deliberate, narrowly missed the guy's neck, hitting the wooden wall behind him. It was a tense moment, and onlookers convinced themselves that this was merely a psychological test. Holding firm and believing that nothing would transpire seemed like the key to success. However, as the archer released the second arrow, the atmosphere shifted. The projectile found its mark, striking the applicant in the right leg. The sudden and unexpected injury sent shockwaves through the room. The participant crumpled to the ground in pain, vividly illustrating the harsh reality of the trials. Chris, unflinching, ordered a soldier to escort the wounded individual to the medic, emphasizing the unforgiving nature of the challenges that lay ahead. The room was left in a somber state, the gravity of Roman's ambitions mirrored in the severity of the first trial. The air was thick with tension and realization as the applicants grappled not only with the physical trials before them, but also with the enormity of the leader they had chosen to follow. As the wounded participant was led away, shock permeated the room. Undeterred, Chris called for the next participant. However, the recent spectacle had a profound effect on the following applicant, who stood motionless, grappling with the sight of the arrow piercing the previous participant's thigh. The severity of the injury left the second applicant stunned, contemplating the inherent risks of the trial. Chris, recognizing the hesitancy among the applicants, acknowledged that it seemed to align with Liege Roman's foresight. Addressing the paralyzed second applicant directly, Chris assumed that the individual had surrendered to the challenges ahead, acknowledging the trial's daunting nature. Direct and unwavering, Chris offered those fearful of arrow strikes an opportunity to withdraw from the trials on the spot. He made it clear that enduring to the end, even if struck, would earn them the proud qualification of having passed the first trial. The choice presented was stark: confront the trials head-on or choose the path of withdrawal. With frustration evident in his voice, Chris shouted at the applicants, challenging the courage of anyone considering themselves a coward. The once anticipatory end now echoed with the weighty decisions each applicant had to make, to embrace the trials or succumb to their fears and exit the hall. The narrative unfolds in Roman's office. A day before the pivotal trial, Roman gathers a group of men and issues a directive that will set the tone for the challenges to come. He reveals that in the upcoming trial, they will be struck by arrows. The gravity of the situation becomes evident as Roman introduces an expert archer, emphasizing that the arrows will target non-fatal areas. The archer, exuding confidence, reassures the men that they need not worry about errant shots. Roman, embodying a mix of authority and purpose, proceeds to reward the men with a box filled with gold. The glint in their eyes at the sight of the precious metal illustrates the allure of the reward. However, Roman tempers the excitement with a stark reality check. He makes it clear that although medics will be on standby to tend to injuries, the fact remains that each man will be struck by an arrow. Undeterred, Roman poses a crucial question: will they still proceed? The response is unanimous, a collective affirmation that echoes through the room. The men, seemingly undaunted by the impending ordeal, take their leave. Chris, a confidant of Roman, seeks an explanation for the extreme measures. Roman candidly shares that mere threats won't lead him to the individuals he seeks. To truly find those he's looking for, Roman believes he must show these men that they are putting their lives on the line. It's a visceral demonstration of commitment, a litmus test for those who aspire to be in Roman's service. Roman's rationale extends beyond the physical trial. He believes that even if the chances of being struck by an arrow are slim, most applicants will face it, revealing their innate resilience. The core of his search is individuals with a robust mentality, those born with what he terms the heart of a beast. This is not just a trial, it's a revelation of character. As the narrative shifts back to the present, the trial itself unfolds. Many applicants, unable to grapple with the reality of the challenges, have given up and left. Chris, surveying the diminished crowd, estimates that approximately 100 people remain. The scenes at the trial underscore the significance of Roman's quest for the heart of a beast. It's not merely about enduring physical hardships. It's about possessing an innate strength that sets certain individuals apart. Roman, reflecting on the concept of the heart of a beast, identifies it as an innate talent. It's not just about the willingness to face challenges head-on, but also a unique disposition that distinguishes certain individuals. Roman draws parallels with those who have already demonstrated this innate strength, like Kevin, who executed orders without hesitation, or Chris, who sought strength even after facing a humiliating defeat. Roman deems it crucial to identify and select individuals with this exceptional quality, a sentiment that becomes the driving force behind the upcoming trial. As Roman issues the command to resume the trial, Lucas's mind wanders back to a pivotal moment at the inn. He recalls Henderson, now facing the trial. The visible terror on Henderson's face as the archer readies the first arrow sets the stage for a tense and critical moment. The initial arrow narrowly misses Henderson's head, intensifying the suspense. The second arrow strikes perilously close to Henderson's right arm, prompting thoughts of surrender. Henderson contemplates giving up, fearing the potential impact of the impending third arrow. However, the archer, with precise timing, releases the third arrow, hitting the target between Henderson's legs. Luck favors Henderson, and he successfully navigates the trial. Lucas, witnessing the close call, reflects on the fine line between success and surrender in such challenging circumstances. As the other participants face their own trials, the scene shifts to the culmination of the first trial. Excluding those who yielded, approximately 400 applicants persist. Of these, 120 emerge as successful candidates. Roman, evaluating the results, notes the diverse reactions among the participants, some trembling with fear, while others face the challenge with indifference. In Roman's eyes, both groups exhibit a shared trait, the courage to confront their fears, meeting the standards he deems essential. Reflecting on the broader context, Roman recognizes the need to sift through the gathered multitude, distinguishing those with genuine potential from those present for circumstantial or ulterior motives. His discerning gaze seeks individuals who will regard him with awe rather than mere fear. This discernment becomes a critical aspect of Roman's strategy in assembling a cohort of truly exceptional individuals. Addressing the 120 successful applicants, Roman commends their passage of the first trial as evidence of their worth as warriors. Yet with a firm tone, he underscores that only 30 will be accepted as his subordinates. The announcement introduces a new layer of reality and urgency, emphasizing the high stakes and rigorous standards that define Roman's selection process. The narrative deepens as Roman reveals plans for a second trial, another formidable test that will separate the chosen few from the rest. Success in this subsequent trial will elevate them to the coveted position of Roman's subordinate, a role that promises a life akin to that of a predator. The gravity of the announcement underscores the intense scrutiny and expectations placed on those who aspire to stand alongside Roman. Lucas is left astounded by the unexpected turn of events as Roman moves forward with the second trial. The air in the room thickens with anticipation as Roman outlines the straightforward rules for the participants. Wooden swords of various types are laid out, and Roman informs them that they have the freedom to choose any sword they prefer. The essence of the trial becomes clear. Each participant is tasked with proving their worth through a one-on-one duel with Roman himself. The audacity of Roman's decision to face all 120 applicants individually in a duel doesn't escape Lucas's notice. Roman, with a serious expression, addresses the participants, alleviating some of the pressure by stating that winning is not a requirement. Those who can endure and last even a mere minute against him will pass the trial, and they'll be rewarded with conditions surpassing those outlined in the notice. A bald man named Vulcan steps forward eagerly, volunteering to be the first to face Roman in the duel. A bald man steps forward, confronting Roman. Roman inquires about the bald man's name, and he introduces himself as Vulcan. Roman then checks if Vulcan is comfortable using the wooden sword, and Vulcan reassures him that it's perfectly fine. However, lurking beneath his confidence is an underestimation of Roman's abilities. Vulcan, even considering the rumors of Roman subjugating Bloodfang, believes it's impossible for Roman to defeat him in under a minute. As the duel begins, Chris signals the start, and Vulcan charges forward at full speed, determined to make an impression. Yet to his astonishment, Roman displays an agility and precision that catches Vulcan off guard. In a swift motion, Roman dodges Vulcan's attack, leaving him sprawled on the ground with Roman's sword poised at his neck. The unexpected turn of events emphasizes the vast difference in skill between Roman and the participants. With a serious demeanor, Roman calls for the next applicant, setting the stage for a series of individual duels. Lucas, witnessing this display of Roman's prowess, is thoroughly impressed. The movements Roman exhibited were not just swift, they were seemingly impossible, defying the laws of physics. Lucas grapples with the realization that this second trial is poised to be incomparably more difficult than the first. The room is charged with tension as Roman stands firm, a purple aura enveloping him. The collective gasp that swept through the onlookers was palpable as Roman effortlessly defeated Velkin. The initial shock lingered, giving way to a curious mix of disbelief and admiration. As the duels repeated and time ticked away, the participants held on to the hope that facing Roman would gradually become more manageable. It was a commonly held belief that his stamina would eventually wane, providing them with an opportunity to strike. However, Roman defied their expectations. An hour passed since the commencement of the second round, and Roman had engaged in an astounding 60 duels, emerging victorious in each one. What baffled everyone even more was the conspicuous absence of any signs of fatigue on Roman's part. The relentless pace at which he fought seemed to have no impact on his energy reserves. Henderson, initially skeptical of Roman's prowess, found himself reevaluating his perception. Roman's earlier words, spoken with a self-assured demeanor, now took on a new meaning. Henderson realized that Roman Dimitry wasn't just a participant. He was a predator in this ruthless world of survival. The realization hit him with a clarity that bordered on unsettling. As Henderson scrutinized Roman, he sensed an aura of undeniable power. Roman's ability to navigate the duels with such ease suggested a dominance that transcended the physical realm. The Fool of Dimitry, as Roman was often labeled, now appeared as a force to be reckoned with, a potential leader in this chaotic landscape. Contemplating the situation, Henderson understood the significance of this moment. While Roman was still underestimated by many, this might be the only chance of a lifetime to align oneself with such a formidable force. Becoming Roman's subordinate in this cutthroat world could mean not just survival but a position of influence and strength. Yet the daunting question lingered: how could they face this apparent monster? The reluctance among the applicants was palpable, an unspoken agreement that challenging Roman was a perilous endeavor. In response, Roman issued a stern ultimatum: if no one stepped forward, everyone would fail. Just when hesitation threatened to paralyze the group, a lone figure emerged. Lucas, the 61st applicant, stepped forward with determination etched across his face. Addressing Roman, he bravely declared his name, breaking the tense silence that had enveloped the arena.